If you play Pokemon enough, you've seen Pokemon live enough on low enough HP that you're like, man, if I had like one more attack, I could have made that roll 2% more in my favor or whatever.
Yeah.
Whoa, crazy, look at that, we're back and we have excellent stream connection. Who could have fucking guessed?
Whoa, crazy.
I know I am in for a wonderful time after the stream when I watch Dualitani because someone is playing the game as Burnus from CCZ.
Burnus.
Wait, what game are they playing?
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Master Duel.
Ah, yes.
It is, hey, beat me in a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Either by beating me or making me giggle at your setup.
Mason, have you watched the last episode of Dropout?
The last Make Some Noise? Yeah, I watched it last night.
I need to watch it because it looks so funny, and then I forgot what your dropout was, and I didn't have the shame to ask you for it again, so I just didn't watch it yet.
Hold on. If anyone would like it, here you go. I'll just put it in chat.
I pay for it because I like Dropout.
I do too.
They
but...
deserve my money.
I'm like, fair. I could pay for another streaming service or another
What's
monthly
one more
subscription to
$5 a month subscription service?
Occasionally, I feel like watching stuff on their platform. It's just, most of the time, I'm too busy.
Oh, I just love Brennan Lee Mulligan. He's funny.
Hey guys, we're live. We're here. We're live.
For real this time, right?
Yeah.
For real this time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, we have excellent stream. We have excellent connection. The stream is so healthy, and it's not yelling at me about bitrate for once in its life. It's crazy.
The stream has never been healthier. I know.
Listen, it's the greatest stream, okay? Our bitrate is the top tier, okay? Listen, we're going to put tariffs on importing data, okay?
Anyway.
Cool. Good. Glad.
I'm good.
Okay. Out of your system?
Yeah, we're done.
Okay.
We're done.
It was terrible, okay? Terrible.
Don't make me do it again. Hi, guys. We're live for an anime podcast. We do that sometimes, typically weekly. But before we do that, we'll try to keep this pretty brief, I think, because we're starting a little later than usual. And that's pretty easy for me. I've essentially done one thing this week besides apparently fuck my back up yesterday. So if I'm in pain at all for the entirety of this stream, that's why. But I mean, well, I've read manga, but I don't think there's anything. Let me do one quick look. Did anything fucking end this week? Everything's cooking. Everything's cooking real good. So Mikani and the Sea Woman. Chapter number this week is Number the Final Chapter. But the last page of the chapter this week says, and so the story comes to an end, the next chapter will be the last. So I'm not sure what they're cooking and how they handled this. I assume what this means is this chapter is titled The Final Chapter, and next chapter will be Epilogue. That manga is pretty good. I could get through it, which is better than I can say about the last show about people interacting with sentient sea life that I engaged with. Thank you, a lull in the sea. More like a lull puts me to sleep. But you can add it to the romance mangas where the best friend character does not win. Yikes to her! The comment section is so upset.
Dude, I love Makaine.
They're in such shambles. They're so upset about this.
Makaine is recruiting.
The best part about it is by the end of this manga, basically everybody's like, it's so sad she doesn't get what she wants, but also it's good for her. This protag fucking sucks. He doesn't deserve her. It's so fucking great. I love how much shit they give him. It is crazy to me that anybody thought that a protagonist whose whole thing is he doesn't feel like he belongs on dry land was ever gonna wind up with the not mermaid character. Good luck. You were beat from the get-go, girl. Unfortunate. The manga pulls some stuff at the end that I'm not the biggest fan of. like literally in the most recent chapter. But outside of that, I've done one other thing, and that's I've played Monster Hunter Wilds, baby. That's right. It's time to
Let's go.
it's time to
Let's
bring
go.
back.
It's time to beat the monster.
John, are
I'm
you
picking it
still
up this week.
nice? John, are
I'm
you
still
still?
in chapter 1.
Oh my fucking god! Okay,
Wait, how are you still in chapter 1?
It's
He
so long.
he is doing
What do
other.
you
He's
mean?
doing other stuff.
I
Michael.
just
He has
fought the big.
21 hours in the game.
I just fought the big fishy. Yeah, I don't progress the story when I'm not playing with my fiance.
He just
Oh,
hunts.
okay.
He just hunts, Michael.
I just do extra.
As you
hunts.
do.
Fair.
It's fun.
I'll say okay,
I
still
just
same,
I just
still
fought
same,
the
still
big
same,
fishy monster, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. And that's where we're at right now.
Fun little story about that fight for me. I had two of my buddies hop in to help me with it.
Why?
And by that I mean I was doing it. We were in a lobby and they went, "Ooh, I want that material," and they hopped in as well.
Sounds alright.
And I want you to know, John, if you didn't know this, adding people does not necessarily make the hunt easier, because it changes the stats of the monster. Like the monsters scale
scales,
to
I'm
party.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's really fun about that is we got to the top of the forest near the dam, and we're doing this fight, and I'm like, and I see the notification pop up on my screen, and it says the monster has been mounted, and I went, oh cool, which one of you fuckers did that? And I look over, and it's fucking neither of them. Neither of them mount the monster.
Wait,
You want to guess who mounted that
What?
monster?
your pet?
Nope. The Palicos can't do it.
Was it a random fucking person that joined?
Remember, that fight, you have a friend when you're
You
doing
do-
that
you
fight,
do.
even solo.
You do.
Oh,
Even a
her
friend.
name.
I turn around and Olympia's just fucking there with her hammer on top of the monster, just going ham. I'm like, damn, this is the most any NPC has ever done for me in any Monster Hunter game that I have played.
But guys, it's woke garbage, I was told.
So I am in.
No, the
chap-
rookies are mad that that the game's doing well or something.
I'm in
So now
chap.
we're mad.
I'm
yeah,
in
that's right, I
chapter
forgot.
4.
Because the game's good, so it can't be woke.
I'm in chapter 4. I think. I think I've been to every area.
If you're in chapter 4, yes, you've been to everywhere.
Okay.
If you've been to ruined, okay,
I have met. I'm gonna
so
say.
you've been to ruined Wyveria.
Yes,
Um,
I'm gonna say this because this is something that means absolutely nothing to John. I have met the All Harkin.
I mean, you do that at like beginning of chapter 3. That's the plot of chapter 3 is meeting her.
I just hunt the monster. They go burr, and I go swing, and occasionally I put trap down and go bzzz, and then put them
I
sleep.
feel
and I
like you're
capture-
in chapter 3 longer than that when you meet her. I feel like that's the.
Because 4 is once you've hit high rank.
Oh, no, I'm not in 4. I'm probably at the end
Yeah.
of 3, or getting close to the end. Of 3.
There's a very definitive. You have done a big fight that ends off the main story that puts you in high rank.
I am ranked 3.
As a character gets introduced when you've hit high rank, that's like, oh, he's here now. We are in the high rank set of the game.
How you doing? How you doing with the game, Michael?
I only have like 60 hours in the game. You know, it's all right.
Just casual
I'm
grind.
playing. I'm playing the game a little bit. You know, my current objective is trying to get every single a variant of a sword and shield that you can get in the game.
Yep.
Outside of the craftable ones, because that's legitimately infinity different crafting combinations.
I don't know these information.
Well, yeah, that's high rank, and high rank
you
you
will.
ability to
You
craft
will.
weapons.
Yeah.
Sick.
Essentially, if I'm understanding it right, what Michael is saying is he is attempting to get every weapon you would see in the weapon tree.
Yeah. Which means I need to farm essentially every single main monster.
Not quite.
Okay, Sword and Shield does. Sword and Shield,
Sword
I think
and
there's a
Shield does.
single main hunt that doesn't have one because it doesn't have any of the small monsters.
Because I was gonna
variants.
say most weapon trees you don't get everything. Most weapon
Yeah.
trees
Oh.
it's like
I
it
think I'm missing like
varies.
one.
All
And
I
even
know
then,
is
some of them
so
it like takes
far-
a single gem from some fight.
So far, I have just unlocked upgrading armor and
Yes,
stuff.
you should do
Is
that.
where we're
You
at.
should always make sure that you
And I
are.
just got my first like green armor set.
Yeah, you should always make sure that whatever armor set you are using to go into big fights, you have it at max armor level, which is really easy in this game.
It's easy to armor
It stops getting easier.
Well, yes, but like, once you hit high rank, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, when you hit high rank, realistically, you're trying to not get hit. Your armor rank doesn't do that. Your your actual defense doesn't do that much in some of these fights.
Yes.
It's all mental, right? Is the biggest
Matt's
thing.
armor, Matt's Citrus doesn't make you not die to some of these fights. The specific fight I'm talking about,
Yes.
they mentioned Ice Resist.
It's all
Yes.
good game design.
I finally hit the point. All of my carts happened chapter 3 on, I think. I had 2 carts to Jin Dahad, which again means nothing to
crazy.
John. Yeah,
Jin-
that fight kicked my ass.
I think that is the only fight I don't like in the game. Because it's the only one I think that has a amount of bullshit in it.
I
Because
felt
you
like
get hit by one thing, and if you aren't already toggled onto a cleanser, you are now in for
Ye-
3 attacks in a row that you can't dodge. Because you
Yeah.
don't break out of the ice fast enough.
your power code can break you out, which is what happened to me. And
Yeah,
then,
it requires your power code to be next to you and not dead.
true.
Dude,
True.
that just happens sometimes.
Just
Jindahad
get-
just gotta cook
just,
people.
just get a better cat. I don't know what to tell you.
The issue more is Jindahad's not a good fight for parries because half of his
No.
attacks are him swinging his
No.
body at you.
I don't understand how to parry still.
It's just. I mean, it depends on the weapon you're using.
Most
Um,
it's
so
just
for me,
it's
so
just
when
like
I
a
mean like
perfect
parry, I mean
block.
perfect blocking on
Yeah.
sword and shield. Just pressing the
Longsword, I
block
think,
button
is
as something hits
only
you.
when you use like the R1X, like the sheathing. I think. is the
Yeah,
only way
if
you
you're
can, like,
longsword,
parry.
yeah, it's like doing the one thing out of funny stance.
So outside of the small things that we like loosely talked about last week, for me, someone coming from World and Iceborne, but not having played Rise, I played the demo of Rise. Rise didn't really click with me. It probably would if I played it more, but this combat feels so fucking phenomenal. It is so much more in depth than World's combat felt because of the wound mechanic. The
Yep.
wound mechanic's insane. It's great. It makes you, if you are using a weapon that takes big swings, one of the biggest bad feeling things is that a lot of the time you are stuck in an animation and you're gonna miss like a big wind-up attack. The wound system kind of fixes that, in that you are typically more directly engaged and locked onto the monster you are fighting, to an area you are fighting, and you get cool maneuvers for each weapon that like you get to use in the wounding system, and they all look sick as fuck.
I love the longsword because like you just like instant can proc wounds, which is really really silly. Yeah.
I've been fucking around with Hunting Horn recently because I was like, okay, I want to
That's
try
funny.
Hunting Horn. At least Hunting
Hunting
Horn was
Horn.
like the
Crazy.
when I saw like in World, I was like, Hunting Horn, really funny weapon. What's using? I'm like, okay, this is difficult, and my brain cannot comprehend Hunting Horn. It's wound mechanic because you get to play 5 notes instantly upon breaking a wound, which lets you set up 3 songs if you have them set up if you know your song paths correctly.
Which means
It's crazy.
your buff count for a fight is like insane. Like at the
My
end of a
first
fight
time
with a
using
team.
Hunting Horn, I walked out of this was just me with one other person. I walked out of the fight with 87 buffs applied.
Yeah. You know this because everybody gets like a little thing when you hunt together where it's like you did
Yeah.
this in the fight, and for some people it's like you've gathered 5 times while fighting a monster, and then
You
Hunting Horn
gathered
it's like
12 times.
Hunting Horn it's like you saved the party.
Yeah, you did 90 buffs.
I think anyone who thinks this game is easy should just never use the Sacred. Good luck.
Probably not.
I
Have
think
fun.
If they think it's easy,
brain.
they should get to high rank.
Well, that
What
too.
is the sacred?
The bird.
Secret.
Oh,
Your bird, your
Your bird.
rideable, the mount.
what's special about the secret?
The fact that you can use potions and
So here's
and sharpen
get
while on it.
distance.
here's
Get
The fact that you
Here-
can
yeah.
move while doing these.
Here-
Like in Olga, you have to stand completely
Yeah.
still while healing or sharpening.
Here's a trick. Here's a trick, John.
True.
If you're ever really low on HP and in danger, call your bird. Call your bird. Just
some
move
distance.
move around a little bit. Heal. Let your
Yeah.
palico
Makes
get
sense.
get its shit kicked in for a while, and you'll be fine. There is a repel fight, meaning there is a fight where you just have to deal enough damage to the monster to make it leave the area. You don't actually like hunt it. There is a repel fight that happens in chapter 3. I believe.
It's in chapter 3. Yes, I know.
It's
I know
not
what
the
fight
Jin
it is.
Dahad one. It's not the Jin
Yes,
Dahad. It's
yes,
the
I know
other
what
one,
fight
which I
this
won't
is,
say.
yes.
And you are in a very small location. To essentially the design of the fight is you are fighting around one pillar. And I cannot tell you how much of that fight I spent running in circles on my bird, just trying to stay away from the monster long enough that I could
Sick.
not fucking die. I almost burned through basically every single resource, and it was the first fight where I went, I might want to actually do the optional quests and grind good armor.
Just a little bit.
Because my structure was I ran the Cactabara armor for like the first 2 chapters.
It's like the shittiest armor.
It's fine.
Yeah.
And then I unlocked the ingot armor and went, cool, you're mine. I'm gonna run with this for a while, and that is still my play. I'm so fucking close to having one of the good armors fully done. I am missing like one
what color
part.
is the good armor?
It's so John, you're gonna know it's a good armor because you're gonna fight the monster for it, and you're gonna only be able to craft 2 pieces of the 5 after you fight that monster.
Yeah, I did that. This is
Oh, no, but there's like 3 monsters
fish.
where that happens.
Yes,
The
but
fish
those are
does
all
that.
those are all good armors.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not
I think
the
it's rarity 3 is what you'd be looking for.
it's not the, I think they're still technically 2s. I don't know if they're green still.
Because I want to say rarity 4 is the final thing you get pre high rank. I want to say 5 up is high rank.
But things that they do differently than some of the other ones is they're the first armor sets that start letting you put things in them, which you won't have unlocked until you can build the whole thing. But you'll see that they have little gem slots when you.
I just unlocked that you can get little thingies for
Yeah,
your buff. Not decorations on the armor, but just
Oh,
like little
talismans?
thingies.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Talismans are dope. I played a little bit with my buddy Ego, and he got really mad at me.
Oh.
Because we were doing the next big fight to what you just did, John. So you fought Big Fish, and then there's one after. There's one. I think there's one. I think he's after Fish. Lightning Boy, I think, is after Fish. Or is he before?
Lightning Boy's after Fish, and I fought a Lightning Boy yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I want to say right. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I could have sworn right now was your first Apex.
Nope.
But yeah,
because
you go backwards. Is your first Apex.
So we did that fight, and we did the fight, and I'm carving, and I go, oh, a plate, and Ego fucking loses his shit on me. He goes, Sean, this can't keep happening every time we play this goddamn game together, because we had this problem a lot in World where we would play, and we would do the carves for the quests, and I would go, ooh,
You get the good loot.
I would go, ooh, a plate, ooh, a gem, ooh, a gem. Ooh, a plate. And he goes, Sean, I'm gonna strangle you.
Honestly, justified.
He goes, Sean, I've done this fight so many times. I've played a good amount so far. I have not gotten a single goddamn plate for any creature, let alone this one. And I went, so I could make that piece
like a skill issue.
I could make that piece of armor that gave me the. It's not. It's you're gonna learn real quick that loot tables are not a skill.
No, it's a skill diff. I've checked.
The only skill it has is your luck stat.
No, the actual skill for loot tables is how fast you can see them in the reward set while SOS spamming. While, like, looking through SOS things, trying to see a thing with a guaranteed gem drop, and trying to join it before 3 other people do.
Now you could do that.
This is a thing I did for about 3 hours, like 2 days ago.
Nice.
Trying to get all the gems for the apexes.
Last couple of things from me on this. I think all the terrains are really fucking cool. All the areas are rad. They're dope as fuck.
Awesome.
I love how large they are. I love how in depth they go. I like how much they change as you play. That they're not just the same thing, like static the whole time. I played World, and one of the large critiques World got from long-term Monster Hunter players, and World was my first Monster Hunter, was that the monster designs in World are all very same-ish. They're not very different. And by that, a lot of them meant, like, in World, you'll hear the term get thrown out in the game by, like, the handler, by Alma. Well, she'll be like, this is a brute wyvern. So you have brutes, birds...
Bird.
Wyvern? Do they classify them differently? They might. And there's one other one that I'm forgetting. Piscine. There's like a base one I'm forgetting. Like just a regular ass one that I don't remember. But the point is they like classify them. And then in World, you're like, yeah, all these things make sense to fall into these categories because their body structures are actually pretty similar. So, like, all the brutes are big and bulky, all the birds are birds, all the Piscenes are fish, all, like, 2 of them. And, like, not until Iceborne did, like, the monster designs start to get very different and cool. like drastically different and cool. Oh my god, Wilds' monster design is all over the place, and I fucking love it. Some of these things are monstrosities. Some of these monsters should not exist. We've committed cardinal sins.
Yeah, we go from fighting the Shia Halud from Dune to fighting a farting monkey to fighting a spider that paralyzes you.
To fighting a different spider that is entirely different. And there's two spiders in
yeah.
this game.
Yeah, there's 2 spiders in this game.
That's why they have a spider warning.
Yeah.
Spider toggle.
You just have a monster in this game that's I don't even know where to begin to describe it. It is I think more terrifying than either of the spiders. It is a goop chicken that's also a bug.
The goop.
It's a goop chicken bug.
The goop.
This fucker. This
Johnny,
thing.
haven't gotten this is a chapter 2 fight.
It's terrifying. Is all I'll say. I think it's.
As I know what section of the game chapter 2 covers.
Yes.
And I know it's in that spot.
It's the next area you're gonna go.
That's okay. I don't want to find the goop chicken.
You will. You don't get it.
It is a forced story fight.
You don't get to avoid goop chicken.
No, I don't want the goop chicken. That's okay.
I mean, we could just say it their names. It doesn't actually matter.
I
These
don't
names
remember
mean
its
nothing.
name.
Oh, the Rampopolo? You don't remember my guy, the Rampopolo? I know almost all of them by name. It's a problem.
He's it on.
You played a
The
lot
only
of the game.
only ones I'm bad at are like the
Really?
ones that I know are like definitely new to. I don't know if they're all new to this game, but it's things like Uthduna, Zuwu, things like that.
would
'cause it's all just
actually-
nonsense noise.
It's such a funny.
Yeah. But no, I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a great time. I'm gonna play more this week as well. I'm enjoying the story. I know there are some people who think it's kind of nothing.
I am too. I get to look at
it's-
all
Monster's
repeatedly,
a
so
little bit annoying sometimes.
It's
but
Monster
also,
Hunter.
I think it's
he's
it's
Babby.
whatever. He's just a
John-
little child. I
John,
don't
you've
know.
had this moment. Fuck Capcom. Capcom's great. I hate them. Ignore the Freudian slip and where this conversation's about to go. I promise it was not intentional. Fuck Capcom because you do the Uthduna fight, and you have Olivia with you, and then they zoom in on Olivia, and it is raining, and she just fucking runs her hair through her hair, and I'm like, God, you fuckers. I'm like,
Is Olivia the warrior one?
yeah.
She's the one with the hammer.
I'm like, you need.
Not
I'm like,
as into it, but I understand.
I'm like, you need to calm. Well, we have different preferences, John. I'm quite sure.
I agree. I'm just saying,
God, fucking.
almost right
bitches.
there.
Bitches will see Alma and say, "Wife, I am bitches."
I am
She's
bitch.
great.
I have had a discussion with my girlfriend this week about her ordering a cosplay for it because she
Almost
fits
cute.
See-
almost looked perfectly.
See, I get to
She's so
also.
cute.
I also get to go. Oh yeah, I'm bi, so I also get to go. Man, Eric's a guy. What a dude. What an
What
adorable
a-
dude.
Not
what
a guy. He is
with
the epitome
autism.
of twinkism.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, you guys are not ready to
Oh
my
God.
favorite part about Olivia's crew is that they quite literally both are just they are just autistic.
He's so.
And
The other one is.
both
The other
Werner
one
and
is.
Eric are just autistic.
Werner is so.
But they're
he's
just different stuff.
so-
They're just different flavors of autistic.
Werner quite literally has a line in the game where he looks at you and he goes, "I don't know what I did wrong. In fact, I'm quite confident I did everything right."
You need to tell me when I do something wrong.
To the point that
Actually-
after shit has completely hit the wall, your hunter walks up to him and he goes, I'm sorry. And you have a dialogue. One of your 2 dialogue options is, "What was that? I didn't hear you. What? What was that, you motherfucker?" Which is also because Word is a complete ass, and every time you walk up to him, he goes, "Who are you again? Why should I care about you?" And then this game occasionally has dialogue between you and the other NPCs, and they'll say something about your character, and I go, "What the fuck do you mean by that? What
Yeah,
aren't
what's
you
going on,
telling me?
man?
What aren't you telling me about me? What don't I know yet?" They say something.
Yeah,
They
that's such a crazy.
They
It's
say
like,
some
Alma,
shit.
why did you pick me? The line she drops is crazy.
And you get another moment like that with Olivia, where she just the conversation you had. You're like, "Who am I? What am I? Am I human?" They don't make it sound like I am.
Fourth wall just slowly creaking open.
I will say for the first half of the game, I was not quite vibing with our child.
Or child.
That's
Nada,
the best way to describe Nada. He warms up, I think, in the later
My
half
boy.
of the story.
Boy.
Because he does some stupid shit early. I
He's
want
kind of a
I
dumbass.
want to strangle that kid, and I mean that with all the love in the world.
No, Nata, don't throw the rock at the big monster. That would instantly murder you if you did that.
the one big monster, Michael.
Hey.
Got it, kids.
Cake
But yeah,
too.
Monster Hunter Wild's good.
Yeah, and that's all I'm gonna say
It's
about
okay.
it for now. What have other people been up to?
I want to talk
That's
about
not
another game.
that's
that I
not
did-
Monster Hunter Wilds.
I
Yeah,
played. So it wasn't a whole game.
you play a demo.
I did play a demo for a game. Because last week I think it was they started it. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Annapurna Interactive started off, did a whole like show, and a bunch of their games are on sale. Any things they published. And it's a bunch of demos for new games that are about to come out. I've played 2 of these for any reasonable amount. One of them
Nope. Was that
was a little
50?
game photography sim.
Okay, there we go.
Very simple game. Awesome. How much of that got cut out?
You say the name again, just to be safe.
Lush Foil Photography.
Oh
Sim.
yeah, I didn't get it. I got photography.
So it is a
Sounds like
game
picture?
where you have a picture, or you have a camera. You are trying to opt in essentially a game world recreation of a national park somewhere in the world. You get like like a set of them you can pick from, and you just take pictures of like foliage, waterfalls, bugs. It's a really neat, just absolute vibes game. You just hop in. My computer cannot run that game well. I was running the game at like 20 FPS to make the game
How
look
do you
good.
run Monster Hunter Wilds?
Oh, I run that game at actual potato settings.
I play it on
It's fine.
PlayStation.
But that was one game. I spent like 30 minutes.
only
in that
issues
game. It was a
I've
neat
had-
game, though.
Was when I like loaded a new area. It takes a minute for the game to like be like, whoa, what the fuck is
Yeah.
all this new shit?
Yeah. But another game, the game I actually want to talk more about, is a little game called Wander Stop. This is a game. I don't know how I want to order these. I think it's funnier to order it this way. It's made by Doug's brother. And if you don't know who that person is,
or what
he
he's
is the
made.
creator of The Stanley Parable and The Beginner's Guide.
Oh.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is now him with an actual studio behind him called Ivy Road. Music by C418 of Minecraft acclaim. This demo is about an hour long. What you get to do, you play as a character named Alta, I think her name is. She is a warrior, and she's on her way to get trained by the greatest warrior that has ever lived. She needs to find her in the forest, and as she's running to find her, she gets tired and wanders into a tea shop in the middle of the forest. Really weird place to keep a tea shop.
Like you do.
And the owner of the tea shop goes, "Hey, you should sit here a while and maybe take a little break. Help me run
Stay a
the tea
while
shop
and
for a little
listen."
bit." This game is a fucking masterpiece. I don't know how to describe what makes this game work so well. Maybe it's the music. Maybe it's the way Alta and Boro, you're little guy, talk. Maybe it's the vibes of just making tea with this like super hyper complex tea making system. This game is fucking awesome, and I cannot wait for this game to come out in 2 days. It's so good. And yeah, it based on the things this man has done before. This man does wonders in video games. Also, the game can run on like a potato.
Source potato machine.
Yeah. Recommended specs. It is a NVIDIA GeForce 970. That is recommended specs.
That's a little old.
Yeah. This game's good. Would recommend.
Cool.
I'll have to check it out.
Also, what have you been up to?
I went on a business trip this week to Tampa, Florida.
Basically, there's like this workshop for a project that I worked on, and there was some like a bunch of like turnover in personnel. So like, okay, we're gonna bring you in so you can assist this other guy with this presentation, and then what we're going doing like the run through. He was like, okay, when we talk about like this specific connector, this is where I'll defer to you. When we get to the actual presentation, we get to the connector, and every time he says, "Oh, I'll have Austin talk about it," one of the people that we're presenting to asks a question, so I don't get a single word off at all. So I basically just get like a free. I just
Free
basically
trip
get
to
a
sit
pay
there.
for vacation to sit there and look pretty for 2 days.
But you were really good at it, Austin. You were really pretty.
That is certainly yeah, sure.
I got you, fam.
And then my friend Dakota came in for a little bit. He's had a concert
Dakota.
in my city, so he just popped in for a little bit. But tomorrow I'm going to a wedding, so that's why I'm currently not in my usual space. So
And you're going to one in like a week too.
yeah, I'm going to 2 weddings in the course of like a week and a half.
Same. So I'll be there at that one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
I come to the one tomorrow. It would be really
No.
funny.
If I'm not home for dinner, I'll be stabbed.
You'll get home for dinner. It's at 1 p.m.
But no, I'm okay, Austin. I'd rather not die. I've been playing Civ and Monster Hunter, and I've started my journey to finishing the last of my to be completed Pokedexes, which is Let's Go, which means playing through Let's Go because I've never touched the game. It's kind of fun. It's very simple. It's like very you can tell it's like the inspirations from like ZA and Arceus came from this game.
Yeah.
Right. And like you could tell like this was like the era where like the Nintendo was like, oh, maybe we just switch to mobile games after all. Because it definitely has that vibe of like, ooh, they really just kind of thinned out and made it very simple and very like mobile gamey, which is fine, but it shows in its simplicity. But I mean, it's a fun, cute little game. I recently completed the Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl Pokedex, which was the worst because man, I had to play Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. But outside of that, the rest have been fine. I got my shiny Manaphy for it. This one gives you a shiny Meltan, which is probably the worst one because you can't evolve it because Meltan's only a Go exclusive Pokemon right now. You can get it in Sword and Shield, but the only way to evolve it is through Pokemon Go, which means you literally cannot evolve the shiny Meltan. It is stuck as a Meltan because you can't go back to Go. You can only go from Go to home. You can't go back to Go, I'm pretty sure. And so it's just kind of stuck as like this little baby Pokemon. It's fine. I'm doing it just for the sake of having it done and just to like have something to do in between our Pokemon adventures, which isn't until again May. So, but yeah, I'm enjoying just piddle paddling around basically with the basic system and just like using the overpowered Pikachu you get that gets an auto crit electric move that has priority for some reason, like Urshifu ass balanced Pikachu. But would recommend. Also, Civ's good. They had their first big patch. It's fine. It didn't really change much. It's again, there. It's gonna get there. It's gonna take time. People have to be patient. But overall, I think the game's fine right now, and where it is at. It's just fun to play with friends and stuff, and to grind away at. It's another game where you just kind of sit there and grind away because this one they added elements of like with the mementos and stuff of like wanting to like play a leader to get their mementos unlocked for other leaders. And there's a very silly strategy you can do right now where if you have, I think it's like Ashoka's like level 5, it gives you like 100 food every time you like put a point in like the skill tree for expansionist. And you can like start with extra expansion points, and this memento carries over to other characters. One of the characters, when you first research a civic, gives you 2 wild card points, which you can put to the expansionist tree. So you see where this goes. You just slot 3 immediately in. You get 300 food in the capital on like turn 7. You have like an 8 population capital while everyone's at like a 2 or 3 population capital, and you just like have this giant capital that snowballs out of control early. I want to try doing that against Spoon one time. It'll be funny. But yeah, Dr. Spoon,
I know.
Dr. Professor Spoon. Yeah, it's been fun playing with him here and there, and then playing Monster Hunter with my fiance is fun too. Monster Hunter, cool. I never played it before, and I want to play more game, and I just don't have time for it right now. But I really want to play more.
Mason?
I have. My week's been interesting, as Sean knows.
Yeah.
So Monday, someone tried to break into our apartment.
Oh,
Yeah, I literally
Yeah.
joined.
Oh.
I literally joined call. Went, hey Mason, and he made a noise, and I was like, he's away, but he heard me, and then he came back. He goes, yeah, someone just tried to break into our apartment. I went, ow, are you okay?
I gotta break out the picture.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
see, I think someone's trying to do that in our house sometimes, but then it turns out it's always just my parents showing up relatively unannounced.
yeah. See, this was this was real though.
This,
Uh,
yeah,
that's
so,
not fun.
so what
Not
had
fun.
happened was, I was sitting on the computer, I was like watching a YouTube video or something. I hear some like rattling. I'm like, oh, okay, like it might just be like the pipes or whatever. And then I hear the back door open, and I mean that back door. So I was like, yelled and like ran. No one was there, so yeah, that was fun. Work has been really busy. One of my employees quit this week, so that was fun. 4 hours before their shift through text.
Very cool. Awesome.
Very, very cool.
That's so balanced.
Modern
That's so
Gen,
great.
like Gen Z employees
I-
just don't give a fuck anymore.
I will give them this. It is because of health issues where they kind of
Well, now I
can't
hear
really
that.
come into work. So it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I understand. The 4 hours before their shift wasn't great, but aside from that, I went on a walk today with Cody. That was really nice.
Very nice walk.
Very nice walk.
Cool.
I saw the secret tunnel again. Aside from that, I started watching. So since the new Daredevil season is out, it's starting to come out. And I've only watched the first season of Daredevil. We started watching Daredevil season 2. That show's really good. Also been keeping up with Invincible. Invincible's also incredible.
But Mason, they didn't animate every little ridge on that bad guy's brain, and
No, and
therefore it's a
also
terrible
contrast
show.
voice is bad. The show has to be bad.
My understanding, the
bad. It's
animation
really
for this
bad.
season's better than the last one.
It's so fucking good.
People are just gonna find stuff to complain about.
Like
Yes.
people didn't wind up complaining about season 2s, and they probably should have, is what I've heard.
Yes. It's just consistently gotten better and better over time.
But Sean,
Show's
it's
really
not,
good.
it's not perfect.
Uh,
Therefore it's garbage.
True.
Aside from that, I started another Marvel game this week. I've joined a new
Marvel
one.
Snap?
I'm playing,
No, like a tabletop.
yeah, tabletop. This character's great. I'm playing Jim from accounting.
Some kind
Go.
of shit I would make up, Mason.
He has no combat powers. He's entirely luck and healing based. He's great.
This is very similar to
Jim.
Painless's one D&D character he likes to tell me about, where his name is Tyler Money.
Tyler Money.
Tyler Maine, the guy who played Sabretooth.
Tyler Money.
But aside from that, not much else. I finally got to Ascension 20 and Slay the Spire on Ironclad.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, that was a big achievement. I just got the lucky pull of I was starting with a strength build and then got access to Dead Branch and went.
Uh-oh. Corruption. Where are you at?
I didn't even get corruption, but it didn't matter. I just got I got Dead Branch, and then my literal last relic before the final boss fight was Charon's Ashes, and I went, well, okay,
Bro Raggy.
we're having a time.
Handshake. GG's.
Yes, exactly. There's another thing that I've been doing. Oh, I've been playing a lot of Hades 2 as well. I've beaten the new route. I've beaten the new area, I should say. It's very hard unless you're like me. And Sean and Michael, I believe, saw this. I think that's when I beat it. But I got a really dumb build with the skulls somehow. I managed to get a build where it was essentially every time you pick up a skull, it does an AoE damage of like 200 damage.
Oh.
But it uses a lot of magic. But I got the Hera boon where it refills your magic every time you use it. Like, use all of it, so just kind of like self-fulfilling prophecy on it, just like, or a perpetual motion machine, I should say, of just shoot,
Energy.
refill, shoot, refill. It's a good time. That's pretty much all I've really been up to, honestly. I have not done much.
Hey, that's fair.
Yeah, just busy. Sean,
But we all have watched anime this week.
True, we have watched anime.
this is in fact an anime podcast.
It is.
Sometimes.
It is indeed sometimes an anime podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, that's right. It's another podcast classic.
Power ranking.
Not just any power ranking.
Power
It's a no bold power ranking.
Very basic bitch power rankings. Let's go.
Whoa.
Whoa.
This tends to happen when we have 6 shows left and there's only a split between the 2 of them.
Crazy.
Especially when there's 5 of us. It's very difficult when there's 5 of us to have to not have at least some level of overlap. Though it does appear we are gonna have some things to talk about this week here on the podcast. And to start, we're gonna go to you, Michael, as we do.
Flower and
Talk about
Asura.
Flower and Asura.
Okay. The Flower and Asura starts us right where we had left off last episode with them at the performance. Which turns out to just be a reading of the poem.
Yep.
That's it. I expected more from that. But anyway, it's a reading of the poem. It's a good reading of the poem. We get more cool visuals to go along with it, as happens anytime something like that happens in the show. And essentially the what comes out of this is Hana going, damn, she's so fucking good. Like, I didn't realize she was that good. I gotta get better if I'm gonna even like be able to vaguely compete. What the hell? So she's fired up. But then we gotta go back to school, and now it's time to actually finish up the video for like that to make our short film, because the deadline's in like a week or something at this point. As of this point, it's in like a little bit. We kind of cut through a lot of it quickly, but it's like, yeah, we got to get that in, because I guess this is part of that same competition submission they've been doing. It's like where they got to submit their scripts for their stuff. So they got to submit that, and they're editing it. And then Toga, I think it's Koga, something like that. I should pull.
Toga,
Yeah.
you're right.
It's Toga.
Toga's looking at you. He goes, "It's too cute." And then the senpai, the male senpai, he goes, "What?" He goes, Toga's, "The music, too cute." And he goes, oh, "Okay, thank fucking God." Because it's specifically the scene where Hana's talking, going like, "Yeah, I'm gonna." It's like, "Yeah, I think you'll do great or whatever. Do you or like, yeah, I want to be a poet. What are you gonna do in the whatever?" And then essentially this spirals into a whole thing where he goes, "Guys, I gotta get new music for that section. That shit was ass cheeks. I gotta get new music." And they go, "Sir, the deadline's in like 30
Tomorrow.
hours,
Tomorrow
bro."
night.
And he goes, "And I need this to be perfect." Which leads into a bit of, or no, I don't think we get like a technical backstory thing. We get that from him, and then they kind of have a little like, tussle about it, and then the teacher goes, "Okay, tomorrow after school, if you don't have it in by then, we're submitting this thing. We're submitting it as it is." And he goes, "Bet." So then Gang walks out. It's Toga, the senpai, Hana, think On's there. Or is it?
No, she does
No,
not.
it's not On. It's Usudai who's with
Yeah.
them. It's the yeah. Um, I went to pull up the names and I kept talking and I forgot to do it. So they're walking around because he wants to get new sound effects for the waves because he doesn't think they perfectly match up with the waves essentially. And he also wants to get a new music track because he doesn't think it matches the scene like at all because of how emotional it's hitting. And the music's kind of just like some poppy stuff happening in the background. They're walking around and they run into one of his friends from middle school, a person who was in their middle school broadcasting club, and we learn. Yeah, like his middle school may have been like the chillest place ever for the broadcasting club. Boy, was he not part of that clique within his thing.
Chill.
He is the most stuck-up asshat when it comes to how perfect he needs his stuff to be.
Actually,
We also
he's like,
learned
why did you
here-
take away 3 seconds from the music track I made? And they go, because the thing wasn't long. And he goes, it completely ruins the timing of everything. Give me the thing. I'll redo all of it. And he goes, and they go, you're a fucking dumbass.
We get this a little later. Here we just learn that he was a piano prodigy who stopped playing piano.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're walking for a long time. They sit here.
Well,
they walk
'cause
down
we-
this
It's
road
better,
for a
guys.
long
'Cause
time.
He's a piano prodigy. Stop playing piano because he heard Vocaloid one time.
Yes.
Hatsune
Yeah.
Miku
Very-
converted him into
very
a
big.
fucking sound major.
The only reason
Hatsune Miku, not even once.
the only reason I bring up that it doesn't happen here is because he only shares this
I
with
stand for the
Hakayama.
Miku.
Him and Hakayama have this
Ah.
conversation on the bench together.
And
like,
it's just him and Hakayama.
Yes, no one else
Okay.
is there when they have the conversation about like his actual time in broadcast.
But yeah, so this is a really nice scene to get here because it kind of like flips on his head the way you now understand why he gets so pissed at the way On treats him. Because yeah, his school was that way, but he wasn't. He just wasn't part of the actual like recitations and shit. 'Cause he just wants to be a little sound guy.
A little sound gremlin.
Yeah. So then they're walking. They end up at some like dock thing. I don't know what this was. It's just
Like an
a
outside
place by the-
restaurant.
yeah. It's a place by the beach. They got some seating. And there's just a piano sitting out there. Okay, so yeah, they see the piano, and that's when he goes and sits on the bench. Because then it cuts from that to Hana fucking plonking away on the piano, being a little dingus.
Yeah.
Playing like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, I'm pretty sure. And he hears the piano, and he sees a piano. He sees the ocean behind it, and he goes,
This could work.
"Gotta have a plan." And he goes up and he starts playing on the piano. God, this seems fucking cool.
Yeah.
Him going up, him starting to play on the piano, and the absolute silence of every other sound around him. Not a person making a peep, not the waves coming in. I think you do hear
You
the
do
waves.
have the waves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a piano and the wave sounds, and you're just like, oh,
Music go burn.
that like, that's a track to go. It's so fucking good. And he
That's
goes,
the one that fits.
okay, guys, change play. I gotta go home now. I had a brain blast.
See
Have
you
fun.
tomorrow.
So then him and yeah, him and Hakoyama then go. So he goes to make the music track. Because a big thing throughout this episode I didn't mention is Hakoyama is also really important. It's kind of a Toga Hakoyama thing. Because it's a constant thing throughout this is Hakoyama going, yeah, you guys are all like so talented, and they go, sir, you edited this whole thing in like 5 hours. Sir, you're insane. He goes, no, anyone could be good at editing. And they go, sir, you don't fucking understand. Be confident. Have pride in
Have
anything you can do.
confidence.
God damn it.
No confidence.
Respect your editors.
Yeah.
Hey, let me
But
just
and
say
they
real
barely
quick.
get it in.
Not everybody can edit, and not everybody should edit.
Rude.
There's a reason why most of the content creators you watch actually don't do their own editing.
Yeah.
Very few of them, in fact, do.
Time-consuming and hard.
I did really enjoy most of this episode.
So why is it 5 on your power rating?
Because I thought the other 4 shows had also really fucking great episodes. And 2, the fact that we kind of go and she does a poem, and then we just cut to an entirely new thing was like very jarring when I thought back on this. So it's like that was an interesting thing to do.
I guess for me, I just don't know what else you expect. I think the only thing for me out of it that I was like a little weird is that you don't get the follow-up conversation between brother and sister. Like, because he's like, I'm gonna go.
We
I'm gonna
don't
go.
see his sister at all
He's like,
this
"Well,
episode.
but in my head, I'm like, they had their conversation before. It's probably not going to be much different now, besides him, like,
Yeah.
maybe talking a little bit about the poem. And, like, that would be nice to get a little bit more of him. But, like, I think this serves its purpose really well. And I also think that reading fucking rules. I think, this is, like, by the book definition, like, what you would expect of, like, a slam poetry reading. But, like, at a professional level.
Professional slam poetry.
Yes, it's a real thing.
Yes.
I know, but just like contextually. It's
Yes.
just funny.
It's really just. I thought the other versions were also fucking fantastic this week.
I'm gonna have some words about stuff. Because I don't think anything's bad, but I think this episode kicks major ass. I really adore the back half conversations we get here. I've really loved the idea of, hey Toga, you said that the sound of the piano and everything else just sounds too normal and ordinary. What if that's not a bad thing? And like, what if that's also not like, what if it's not like, what if you just haven't like given it? What if you haven't realized that to you it might sound like that, but to other people, the thing that's become commonplace to you is actually incredible. Like, coming from the guy who doesn't realize his own value as an editor, you know, pot calling kettle black. It's great. It's wonderful.
What if you just got good, bro?
I love these two. I also, I just, going back to the start of the episode, we boot into the poem. The poem's called Yell. And boy, does that it does it so well. It does it so good.
She do yell.
Like, this is one of the moments, in my opinion, where the delivery is perfect, that even with a language difference, you understand what is being done here for this piece. And it rules. I really adored this episode. I thought, and I personally think this show's on a very good upswing. Like, I thought last week's episode was really good. I think this week's episode is really good. I'm excited to see where it goes with it. I thought some other things that I have below it personally, particularly towards my bottom, were just fine. I didn't think they raised their bar, which was kind of one of the shows I didn't think really raised its bar. And there might be an argument from everybody else that it doesn't have to, because it is just that good. But I think actually when everything else is getting better, maybe that's not the case. Slice of
Sean,
life.
I know what show.
It's the slice. It's the slice of life problem. I don't think this episode's anything special this week.
Sean, they sang the opening this episode.
True. It's true. It is
I don't
really
know
good.
what you mean.
They sang it for let me count 5 seconds.
Yeah, but also Selmay was important, and that's the best. And he's the best character. So
we'll talk about it. And then the other show that I have lower than this, I have another one here, but Sakamoto Days, I'm just gonna say I really liked Sakamoto Days episode. It's just I just don't think it was as good. That is not I think that show didn't do enough. I think that show's doing exactly what it needs to be doing right now. I'll just say it. I have some things we're gonna talk about with ZENSHU. I don't think it's bad, but like I think this week's episode of Flower and Asura blew ZENSHU's out of the water. We'll talk about it. Hi, John.
Hi.
Have your thoughts changed at all about Flower and Asura?
This show make me go hunk shoo me. I'm not really invested, and I'm usually the guy that likes the slice of life stuff. I'm just not invested in this one. I don't know what it's just not doing for me.
Perhaps very niche slice of life is not your cup of tea.
But like it is though. It's just different ones.
How did you feel about can't fucking think of its name right now. I was about to say Shishimori. That's not right. Shoshimen.
What? Wait, you know I hated Shoshimen.
Exactly.
Well, like I love Hyoka, so it's like I don't. It's very weird.
Well, I think Shoshimen's a much more niche version of Hyoka.
Some say niche, some say worse. But no, I mean, like I said, the show is fine. It's not doing anything wrong. I'm just not really into what it's doing, and it's not going anywhere this week, so it's perfectly fine for what it is.
You don't know that.
But yeah, I do.
What makes you think that?
But to me, it's just like I don't. it's weird because I can't tell if it's trying to focus too much on every little thing slowly coming together from the side characters, or if it's just like trying to put my thoughts into it. I don't know. The show's just not clicking for me in terms of like is it trying to be this like reading like club based show, or is it more just like about like discovering one's own desires and goals, right?
It's both.
To a degree.
There's your
Yeah, but like
you could do both.
I don't feel like it has time to do both. But I don't know, I thought it was fine this week. I like Soundboy to begin with, and I get where he's coming from, but it's such a like, oh, woe is me. I was just a piano prodigy, and my dad owns a music store and everything, and I was just so good at it. But you know
Come
what?
on.
I saw Hatsune Miku one time, and I was like, sound design, that's for me.
I
What
think
they can do with sound and Vocaloid.
I think an unintentionally really funny line is him going, "Yeah, my dad ran a music shop, and my mom was like a composer, and for no reason in particular, I picked up the piano." It's like, dude, shut the fuck up.
My family was just
Guys,
so
I have an inkling of a reason. I have an inkling
unrelated.
of a feeling I know why.
Yeah.
He literally looks at him and he's like, I couldn't tell you how it happened. There was no real push for it. I just became a piano prodigy. It's like, asshole. I love.
Then I listened to The World Is Mine, and I was like, damn, I get it now.
All these characters are just like, oh, I have so many problems, like
I heard
being a
Hatsune Miku say
teenager.
Sakai, and it was over.
Yeah, he was like,
This
oh.
this is equally the equivalent of someone being like, yeah, I was really into
think-
like hand drawn animation, and I saw one VTuber, my world
think-
changed.
I think why I don't like this show is because like there's no drama to it. It's just like, oh, my biggest problem is
No, there is no drama to this show.
sound go burr, but I
Everything
want
just
to
kind of
go
gets
burr.
everything does
It's
kind of get
so-
resolved.
This is
It's a slice of life.
see,
I know, but there's conflict.
fine.
There's
Yeah,
no conflict in this
John.
show.
What this show is missing is not being a middle school, high school show, and instead being a college level broadcast group, so that you get all the people who are fucking around inside the department with each other. Like, I mean, fucking around inside the department with each other. That's why there's no drama. It's because all that drama comes when you're older.
True.
True.
I
I
went
mean-
to film school.
I think we need to have her too with the light hairs just like be at each other's throats a little bit more. That's the drama that we need.
Yeah, we mellowed a little bit here.
Yeah.
Everybody was ready to be at each other. I do think there is. I will say, I do think it's a little odd at the start of this episode to have Anne walk out of it and be like, "Yeah, fuck, this is why I'm so determined to be so good." And it's
I'm
like,
so motivated.
and it's like, Anne, you walked away from recitation. You don't have the right to say that about her. She's not your competition anymore.
It's just it feels so like that whole like scene felt so disjointed because it's just like they're just like walking so far apart and like the silence, and then just like, oh, I just want to read. And it's just like, yeah, we know that's the point. Like it doesn't hit the same as when like it's like a sports anime and like they go like lose the game and they're like, I'm so motivated to like do better. It's like,
I mean, that
yeah, but
That's
like
those are two very different things. I feel.
You do say that,
the whole point
Mason.
is this is a competition,
This
right?
is
the idea.
this is like a sports light show where like this has
Yeah.
it's a competitive club, so it has the same structure in a way. But the difference here is that unlike a sports show, you're not kind of constantly competing. Like you compete once at this kind of thing, like maybe twice, and like you go, you do it, and that's it. Whereas like sports, you have like
I mean, if you
practice
lose, you only
games.
compete once in sports.
well,
to
you
be
have
fair.
my point is you have practice games and you
Well,
have
and they practice their recitation too, right? So it's
but
very
not like
similar.
not competitively against each other. Like they don't go to recitation meetups. Like they are doing
Recitation meets.
I just say it.
they,
like I-
they don't have the same verbatim
like I-
practice.
okay,
is what you're
like-
saying, but it's because you're competing against
Okay.
yourself, you're not competing against anyone.
But that's
else
my
in the
point. Like
recitation.
you don't have like a constant time to meet new people who you are right. Like that is what this show is missing for you, John. Is there is a rival figure, but it's different from Metal. It's the same kind of rival figure as
It's like-
Medalist, where like they're all the way up here,
Yeah,
but you don't have any way to interact
like
with people
there's no
along that
relatable,
path.
like, there's no relatable character that's parallel to our main character in a sense of like
I don't
on the same path as them to a degree.
I don't think that. See, the thing that's different is like, I think these characters all have like something that somebody can relate to. You just might not have that hook into any of them,
Sure.
right? Like,
No, I think it's a fair
See
way to
that?
put it.
You see that like that scene where they just randomly start screaming, "I want to get better at reading." Would it flow better if like right before then they are like engrossed in conversation about like what's actually how the recitation was actually good, and
yeah,
they're talking about it, and
I
like, oh,
think
I
that
forgot
probably
this
would have
and this.
helped.
I think you kind of hit on the nail, Austin, because it's like it really feels like it's just like she read the thing and they went it was so good and you're like why I get it but like I don't if that
See,
makes
like the
sense.
difference for me is like, and this is why I mean this show I think is geared towards me. That's a huge difference, right? Like I see this show and I'm like, fuck yes, and I get it. Like I don't need the breakdown of why that was so good, but a good show should probably do it anyway, right? Like sports shows tell you why the thing they did in the
Sports shows
sport is
explain how
very
the
good,
sport works and they kind of explain how the reading works, but
but they don't
it's a
explain
little bit
enough.
more
But I
complex.
can't see the read. I can't see why it's good.
They should
because
they
I have to just. I have to nod my head and say, yeah, that Todd sounded a little bit different.
they should probably hold your hand a little more with this show in that regard. Like a time where that's not appropriate. It's the stuff we get with Toga here, because his whole thing is that it is actually good. Like the base product he produces, like the base track, is fine. It fits the scene okay. It's just he's very nitpicky and he's like, this could be better. It's like, well, of course it could. Shut up. Let it go. Or don't.
Or don't.
Austin, Mason, you have additional thoughts?
No, I mean, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought that the recitation at the beginning was great, and then just the entire bit with Toga was just a lot of fun. The like music interlude, like insert was damn that hit. It was great. To me, this was the episode that really pulled the show back up for me because it had been getting kind of like, okay, yeah, it's the same thing. Yep. And this felt different from the past few episodes. It felt like a big upswing to me, which is why it's rated so highly. It was exactly what I needed from this show.
I needed the sound design guy to pop off,
Well-
Mason.
A little.
Yeah, what do you? Yeah,
I also think,
man.
honestly,
How on brand, Mason.
yeah.
probably the most things that are like,
Nothing wrong
like
with it.
something actually like happens. Like a lot of previous episodes, it's like characters move a little towards a goalpost. Like you learn about someone, you actively see them do something, they produce something, and they have like you see the reward for it that it gets put in, right? Like there is a lot
very,
more
like,
progress in this episode.
It's a lot like more self-contained rather than like, oh, we'll just like, yeah, well, exactly, we'll just like inch closer to it, and then maybe you get like more of that resolution once it all comes together. It's just like, no, we get that like payoff immediately.
You could put these past 2 episodes together and just show them to somebody, and they would be a perfectly incredible 2 episodes, because they would get like, you would do this little arc of making the TV drama, and it would kind of come together with a nice little bow in these 2 episodes. Like, I would want to say you could show them this one and it'd be a great episode, but you kind of need the context from last week for it.
I think it's fair.
Are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
Austin.
So immediately after anniversary, naturally comes Christmas, also big on the couples holidays for or notable days in Japan, especially so. And Masuku's like, we just had our 6 month anniversary. I gotta do something special to it. And Yui's like, I don't care. I don't really need to do too much with it. It's just like my kind of sweets holiday. And she's she's a little bit busy too. She's preparing for another solo competition. More importantly, we also get side character progress, except sort of. I pull up names again because I cannot remember. Hold on.
Some and Hayakawa.
Yes, Some and Hayakawa are continuing to meet at this at the cafe, except Hayakawa is getting a little bit more and more self-conscious about it. He's like, "Oh, is this okay? I'm starting to catch the feels," and
And you are
so I'm-
you are 24 and I am 32.
And I am not.
and also I'm in like a position, like sort of a position of power. I'm like kind of your boss, but not really your boss.
If you worked in my department, I would be your boss.
Yeah. And she just kind of starts avoiding him a little bit, kind of dodging the cafe, and just like chalks it up to various reasons. And then they all go to a drinking party where we got Yui and Masugu seated across from each other, and like, this is awkward. I shouldn't drink too much, and otherwise we might have a repeat of what happened last time. And we also have Ekawa and Some right next to each other, and ordering the exact same thing, and everyone's like, "Ooh, these guys are totally in sync with each other. That's
Whoa,
really
crazy.
cute." And Hayakawa's like, "Actually, no, I don't want what I just ordered. Give me something else instead, because otherwise it's suspicious." And then there's just some very cute moments, and then they go to karaoke where they're all just like singing songs. And Hayakawa kind of sneaks out and just takes a break, and Some goes out there and says, "Hey, you want to bail on this together with me?" And she just gets flustered and goes back in. She's like, "Fuck, what was that? I don't know what's going on."
You're like, oh shit,
Oh shit.
he's
And
making
Yui and
moves.
Masugu, and Yui and Masugu sing a song, like decide to sing a song together.
Let me see.
And then at the end of the episode, Yui is just chilling watching TV, I think in the office, and they have a discussion, and she finds out that that she passed the preliminary age of the next competition that is just not being formally announced yet. They have a nice talk about progress.
So I'll get my stuff out of the way real quick. I think my biggest spot with this, why this is where it is for me, is just that this is, in my opinion, a much more transitional episode for the show. Like, we're resolving the things we've built up over the past 3 weeks, which is good. You have to keep moving forward. It's just like, I would have liked more of just moments with Yui and Masugu personally. I didn't particularly think any of their stuff really stood out this week. In terms of like what I usually like seeing from them that I find super enjoyable.
It's the sex you're missing.
You nailed it, Austin.
Shit, he's
And
right.
we did find out.
Surprise,
the problem.
surprise! No one has sex this episode.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild, honestly.
And I think the thing I like the stuff with Some and Hayakawa. I think my problem is that I'm just not the biggest fan of Some as a character. Here's my point. In the dynamic he has in this relationship, I don't think he brings enough to like invest me in what's going on. Like, all of his interactions are very like passive, right? Like, you can interpret everything he winds up saying to her as just regular conversation. Like, to me, there is no hint from him that there is an inkling of like romance, and it kind of like it kind of justifies her, in my opinion, of like, I shouldn't be
Being very
feeling this
defensive
way.
about it,
It's
yes.
awkward. It's weird, and like all the episode really does is just come around to her going, "This is fine. Like, I can still spend time with him, and it'll
I
be
like
okay."
him, and that's okay.
And I
we
think
can
that,
let this
and I
play out.
think that's fine. I just think for me,
I think
I
that's
was
kind
like,
of the point, yeah, right?
yeah, like, it's fine. It does exactly what it wants to do. But in my brain, I'm like, I don't know. I didn't find any of their conversations particularly engaging. Like, I find the way the two of them talk a little boring for me. But I do like the idea of the two of them as a pair, and I like getting more of them. So I think just with that and it being kind of feeling like a wrap-up transitional episode for me, like, I think most of our other shows this week, being episode 8s, are swinging harder because you're building up to your conclusions, right? And this is the slice of life romance, so it doesn't have to do that.
Gets to cheat.
This is the week where I think slice of life romances typically tend to flounder a little bit, because it's like, and
Come on, do something.
don't let this change anything. I still really like this show.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
kind of where I'm at too. Like, show's fine. It just didn't do a whole lot this week, which isn't a bad thing. Like, it's not the worst show of the week. I think it just took a little kind of like cool down week as opposed to everything else like moving up. That's about all it felt like to me.
You know, we joke about this every week, but my adoration for side couples and rom-coms knows no bounds.
I
saw that this was a Soma and Hayakawa episode. I went, this is so awesome. This is amazing. Every second, seeing Soma there alone in the cafe, I was like, because he has like a little turn to look out the window, which is probably just him looking out the window. But like, I was like, And then they do it again where it's snowing, and I'm like, he's alone there now, man. Then they have a little conversation later. I was like, man, I love sidecast relations. They're so fun. And I do like what we get with Masagu and Yui this episode, because we do still get like the conversation between the two of them, where she's like doing her work. He walks in and she's like, "Hey, don't go away." And he's like, "Damn, okay." She's like, "Sorry, a lot of work. Christmas Eve." And then they have a nice little conversation there. I just adore it. And also, they started doing the karaoke. I heard the opening start, and I was like, "Damn, she doesn't have to do a lot to bump that out of my number one, because that's just like a hee hee." Brain enjoyed that moment.
It's a cute cringe moment. You know?
I love this so much. I'm so sad you only get 5 seconds of them singing it.
right.
Yeah,
that was by far
It's
like,
like,
it's
like one of my favorite parts when I watched Rent a Girlfriend back before it became garbage. That's the thing. It was always
There's-
garbage.
Yeah, I'm laughing at what part was that?
But like in the first season, when it was still pretty
before
when it was
you
funny, entertaining
realized-
garbage. There was a scene where they talk about the Peggies, and I'm like, that's based.
It's so base.
Because she's like
That is
listening to it on her
pretty base.
headphones or something, and then like, I think it's like Mommy runs into Chizuru and goes, "Oh yeah, I love the Peggies too," and then they have the awkward like diner interaction or something. But I don't remember anything about that show anymore. But no, I'm with you guys. But it's like, I love the fact that their dynamic exists, but it's not forced, right? So it's like they're like, we know she obviously identifies her feelings for it. Whether or not he has any, we still don't know, because we're getting it from her perspective purely, basically. And he's kind of like a little bit milquetoast to begin with, so it's hard to tell what he's thinking, because that's his character trope. But I think it's really healthy that they're both just kind of like, hey, we can still exist as coworkers and as, diner buddies, basically, and not make it awkward or weird unless we want to further this relationship, right? It doesn't have to be something. It can just be two coworkers who like to go to this one diner before work to, get a morning coffee. And plus they're two funny idiots, just like our other two funny idiots in this show, which is great. I like that he borrows CDs and then he plays a song from the CD at the karaoke, and it's just like, it's funny. Suddenly you like this band. That's crazy. Wow. Awesome.
We also get the when they go out drinking as like the two entire departments, because somehow the planning and
accounting.
and the accounting department just are always put together
I mean, it's 'cause-
constantly.
It's
I mean, think about it.
It's because
It's because you make a plan, and then you have to figure out the money cost of the plan. Therefore, you have to talk to the accounting with the planning department before you send it to the business side and production.
But their bosses
So
are
it's like-
also best buddies, is what we learned.
Yeah, and also like two of their leads are boning every other night. So
Well, they don't need to know that.
yeah, but like clearly they have great chemistry. But no, this show's really cute. That's why I enjoy it. It's like 4 because, like you said, I thought Sakamoto had a great episode this week. Like Sean said, I thought ZENSHU's been really good. Medalist is Medalist. Like,
This has nothing to do with my thoughts on the episode. There is a scene when they're at the bar, where they're at the drinking party, where after the bosses are like, "Isn't it great to have people in your cohort who you're like really close friends with? You're fellow peers, and Masaru and you are like, yeah, and then there's a scene where they just like touch each other's feet, and it's weird. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I
No,
could not
definitely
see it.
That is definitely not
They
weird.
just
That is
play
just-
they play footsies, which I understand is a thing
it's just,
people
it's,
do.
Okay, it's a sense of just like having any physical connection with someone you're close to that is very satisfying.
But
regardless of
I
how it seems.
argue
Listen,
I
I think that's
Varsity feet
totally
for free.
valid.
argue
and not weird.
footsie's far worse than sex.
That's
They're not-
crazy.
They don't got the
he's
dogs out.
literally-
Who fucking cares?
It is quite literally. She like kind of bails them out of something, and then he gives her like a tap, like
A
good
little love
job.
tap,
It's
right?
literally
Like-
what it is.
I stand by my point.
Sean, L take. Sean, that is like your worst take this entire season. I'm sorry. I'm
Sean,
standing on ground.
I'm like, oh, someone has to go start writing that.
I'm standing on business. L
I got
take.
you. I got you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I went to do it. And I already saw you were typing it.
There is definitely gotta be something else I've said this season that is far worse.
Not that I can remember.
Right?
That
Am I wrong,
doesn't
guys?
that doesn't mean anything.
Guys, I think this is a true anomaly. It's not that Sean.
You know
is
what's
getting-
you know
is
what's
getting-
crazy?
No,
That
no,
out of
Sean, hang on.
context
Let me
quote.
finish, let me
Okay, go
finish.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
The biggest thing about this is it's not that everyone's against you. It's that everyone's with me against you. I don't take.
See, I'm okay.
Yeah, honestly,
I'm
that's
okay with this because this out of context quote, factually, not wrong. Like, present this statement to anybody, they'd be like, yeah, probably true.
I disagree.
You think on average, like, you remove this from context, you think on average, footsies is better than sex?
Wait,
See? Out of context, this quote fucking rules, I win.
no.
So we're good, let's move
no.
on.
No, El Bozo.
Doesn't fit my narrative, so therefore I will choose to ignore it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I reject
Thank you.
reality and substitute my own.
What is that from? Is that?
Okay.
So,
Hey, Mason.
ZENSHU?
ZENSHU.
So ZENSHU. So, the first bit of this episode is this weird ass bird keeps popping. And
And
keeps
Michael,
just saying,
and Michael was right.
it keeps saying it's no use, and Natsuko's getting real fucking sick of it. So she finds out that it only frequents two places, wherever she's at, and Destiny's orphanage. So they head over to Destiny's and have Destiny fucking wrangle this thing. And they have a conversation with it. It turns out this is absolutely the director of Tale of Perishing, Kamotaru Tsutaya. I don't remember her last name. It's the director. And she just basically tells Natsuko, you're fucking up my film. There is a dedicated end, and you're extending the runtime way longer than it was ever meant to be. You can't do these fan edits. You are fucking my story. She goes, I'm not trying to do that, but like, these things are trying to kill me, and all the people around me. I'd rather not let them die. And the author goes, and the director goes, just fucking go back to reality. I don't care. Just stop doing it. She goes, how? And the bird flies off. And then we get a shot of Luke and Unio are at the bar. And Luke gives the, hey, can you give me advice for a friend of a friend? And Unio goes, stop bullshitting me. I've known you my entire life.
You don't have other friends.
He goes, damn, dude. You didn't have to say it like that.
Never
But
mind,
anyways.
fuck off.
And he goes, yeah, he goes, never mind, fuck off. And he goes, no, come on, man, just tell me. He goes, fine. So, like, what if, hypothetically, my friend of a friend is falling in love with somebody? And Unio goes, oh, God, please no.
For the love of all that is holy.
Please. And he goes, are you dating yet? And he goes, no. And he goes, oh, thank God. And Luke goes, I'm going to ask her to marry me. He goes, what the fuck is wrong with you? Followed by the barkeep going, what the hell is wrong with you? Just tell her how you feel first and see how that goes. And he goes, oh shit, you're right. I should probably do that. So he goes to Natsuko and goes, hey Natsuko, I love you. "Hey Natsuko, I love you. I love you, Natsuko." And then he walks away, and Natsuko is like,
John, I was gonna do the same thing.
"What?"
Don't forget Mason, while walking away, he turns back and goes, "Hey, I love you," and then walks away again.
Cut to a montage of every time they run into each other, Luke saying, "I love you, Natsuko," for like 3 days straight. This man has never been in love before. And Natsuko starts avoiding him, understandably, because this is fucking weird. So Luke goes to the grave of the other 9 heroes and starts like venting about it. Justice finds him and goes, "Hey man, so this is about Natsuko, right?" And he goes, "Well, how'd you know?" She's like, "Don't worry about it." And then asks him, "Well, why didn't you tell Yunio about this?" And he goes, "Oh, that guy? Yeah, no, he's not my best friend. I see him as like a little brother." Yunio, meanwhile, in the background, listening to this entire conversation, going, "Okay, he sees me as a brother. Cool."
We take those.
And Luke says that he feels weird about talking about love shit with his family, so he doesn't know who to talk to about it.
Well,
he's like, "All right, Justice, fine. Let's do this." And Justice tells him to take Natsuko on a date. So he does that. He goes to Natsuko's door and goes, "Hey, I heard you want to see Hot Springs. If you'd like to come, I'm going." Natsuko comes with. And we get a surprisingly tame, I think, Hot Springs scene, where it's like, yeah, it shows whatever, and it does a very quick, like, Luke has his dick out joke. But overall,
I feel like it's the dick out versus
No,
infinitely
no,
funnier.
he has his sword, Mason,
Yeah, both.
yes,
Yep.
covering
Excalibur.
his dick.
Dual wielding.
And fuck. While this is going on, they're in separate baths. And they have a very like solid, like good conversation about like Natsuko loving Tale of Perishing and what she knows about it, and like bonding a little bit over like the dead members of the 9 heroes. And her kind of going, "No, Luke isn't just like sheets of paper now. This is a real living, breathing person that is in front of me. And I kind of have to respect that and not just treat him like a character anymore. I can't do that." And then a Void shows up. So they go to fight the Void. Natsuko just straight up draws a Gundam. They don't even try to hide it. It is absolutely a Gundam.
She calls it a mobile fighter. It's just a fucking Gundam.
Yeah,
It's
mobile
just a
Gundam.
Why would she
Mobile
call?
fighter Zeta
Why
or
would she
whatever.
call it any different? It would absolutely still be called a Gundam in this world.
Spoon will be proud.
They fight the Void, and as they beat it, Luke shouts as he kills the Void, "I love you, Natsuko." They're falling, and Natsuko finally feels the
Squee. The squee.
Yeah.
Squee.
that she's been.
Wait, does the sub call it a squee?
Yeah, it goes. Yeah, it goes squee. It's very
the
good.
Dub,
It's-
I watched
the dub. It's the dub. They call it the babum.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a squeaky.
Like that was like the whole bit of last episode. Is her setting up trying to find the babum.
Yeah, it's the squee. Last
Squeedus.
episode. We did not clarify this well
Squeedus.
enough. But like this I actually think is a really good translation from dub to sub, because these are the two sounds you would hear given your two
Yeah.
what language you would hear the badum for the heart, and you would hear the squee. Mason, you read through this episode, and I thought about it, and I was like, what was my problem watching this week's episode of ZENSHU? And I'm trying to put my finger on it, and the only thing I can think about is just maybe the pacing didn't vibe with me.
Maybe you just wanted to kill Yunio again.
Well, that's always, but that doesn't matter.
Maybe
that's
Luke's
always
like, "I love you," but I got a little. Like, it is like a solid like 3 minutes. It feels like of
It's
him
pretty
Yes.
rough.
saying, "I love
It's
you."
pretty rough.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah.
I also agree with you. I don't think. Sorry, Mason.
Sorry. I was just gonna say, I think Yunio, honestly, one of the better characters this episode.
Yunio kind
Oh,
of goes
yeah.
crazy.
Him being like, you know
Justice
what?
still the best
Here.
character ever, but
Oh
You-
yeah,
Mason,
absolutely.
you also did mention that he talked about his whole family is dead, and so he didn't know what it was like to have a family.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I just assume that's the case for everybody in the tale of
Yeah.
perishing.
Which
I
honestly,
assume that's the case for every main character.
which honestly,
you
that's
know?
rough,
in
buddy. But I
everything,
get
yeah.
it.
I agree with you. The hot scene thing is fine. I don't know how much I care for. And this is absolutely gonna suck because I'm gonna get called out immediately. I have no problem with Luke running around in essentially half a toga. I think it's based as fuck. Not a big fan of Natsuko essentially just being in her hoodie.
Fair.
Because there are a couple of
I
shots
don't
that
know about
I'm
that much.
not a fan of at the end of the episode with it. Like legitimately, I do not feel comfortable screenshotting any of the shot of them falling besides the close up of her face because you could just flat see her tits.
I didn't notice that, but I also wasn't really.
It's not
looking.
horrible. It's not atrociously bad. I'm also the guy who is fine with sex on podcasts. So like, who am I to take this stance this week, right? Like it just like I don't really have the
You're
right.
also the guy that knocked down a show for not having sex on the podcast this week. So
exactly.
here we are.
Exactly.
All I'm saying is that we got bare feet.
What I will say, okay, back on topic of the actual show.
Is worse than
There is one point that I don't think we really talked about that was important, and that's the fact that like when the monster first appears, she goes, "Those are the same beams I drew."
Yes.
Which implies the voids are adapting based off what she's doing.
There's
so
a-
she is causing a problem.
There's a couple of other things that are really interesting narratively in this episode. One, the peg bar is the director's peg bar. Really interesting in that she believes that there is no preventing the story from ending the way it's supposed to end, and yet the peg bar keeps having Natsuko interfere, which imply, I mean, obviously the writing here is on the wall. Perhaps the peg bar is saying the actual best ideal for this story is for Luke to get close to Natsuko, because that will be a far more traumatic end for him than what the original story had drafted. That or the argument is the peg bar is pushing to get her back to reality, at which she also needs this to happen.
Yeah, we also have a really interesting thing of like, is she able to go back? Is she actually dead? Because
no,
we
she's
found out
not.
the director,
Yes.
who is a bird, is actually dead.
Yeah.
Because Nuts goes, "Oh man, that's right. Oh man, how are you here? I read that you died. Oh wait a minute, maybe I am actually
dead."
But the director makes a point that this is the other thing that I think is narratively really important. She's like, "Why are you a bird?" And she's like, "Well, when I died, I gained wings. What did you gain?" And Natsuko's like, "This peg bar." And she's like, "No, it's mine. You didn't gain that. Did anything nothing has changed for her," which implies that like it's different than what happened with the director.
It's different.
Which like I don't think any of this is like groundbreaking.
No.
I think this has all kind of been written on the wall that this is kind of the structure. Like if you are trying to pick up on where this is going,
No, but it does
makes
propose
sense.
an interesting like point.
Yes,
to the show.
I like having this because you can tune into it and
Give me
start
drama.
If you weren't thinking about it, you are thinking about it now. I do think the conversation in the hot springs fucking rules, because I think there is something incredible about, yeah, your bro made this hot spring, the man who literally shoots magma, I believe it, he's rad as fuck. Like that whole set of conversation is great, and I really like the stuff we get at the end of the episode with Natsuko. I think she doesn't really contribute anything for like the first half though, which is also like, I think that's my issue with the pacing there, is like, not only does Luke just shout he loves her for 3 minutes, she just kind of
accepts it.
She's kind of
spends the next 3 minutes.
She disassociates for the first half of the episode, which I get it, fair. She doesn't understand love. It makes sense. I'm not like, it's an odd.
The whole point is her having an issue writing a story about love because she doesn't understand love, so she has to go into her favorite story to find love with her main character who she loved as a kid, but actually loves now, and it's gonna be really awkward when she goes back to reality and that character doesn't exist.
And the payoff is the scene in the hot springs where he goes, "Well, who's your favorite of the 9 soldiers?" And she goes, can't, we aren't doing that here. Not right now. She goes,
my favorite is,
I like that she thinks about it. Her gears are turning in her brain. She goes, I can't say that it's him because he actively loves me, and saying that he was my favorite implies that I love him. And I don't think that's how that works yet. Cue end of episode.
So, in the dub, specifically, she says the member of the 9 soldiers I love the most is, and then trails off.
Yes,
Same thing in the sub.
that's how it is in the sub.
Okay.
It's so
just like-
obvious it's Luke though. Like
Yeah.
there's no
yeah.
like we
I
know
appreciate this.
this.
Wait, she then has like a monologue. Like 3 seconds later, she goes, "I can't tell him it's him. Can't
Yeah.
say that."
And then
That'd be
I do appreciate that Luke hears that and then moves on to a different conversation.
Yeah.
It's great.
Luke's an
characters are
idiot,
wonderful.
but he's not dumb.
No, he
Also-
I think he is, but he's
Oh, I think
Yeah,
he's
he's
dumb, but
definitely
not an
dumb,
idiot.
but like,
I think he's
but-
dumb, but not an idiot. Sorry, I did the other way.
Yeah.
around.
thing I do really like is that as Luke's doing his whole "I love you," every time we see Natsuko, she has slowly started putting her hair back down.
Back in front of
Yes.
her
So
face.
when
Yes.
she goes in again, she's back to the start of show completely covering her face. I
Yes.
was like, shit. We're like, this is bad.
backwards
I love
progress.
that hair
You
back,
fucked
lock the
up
fuck in.
immensely.
I
Um,
did love when she goes hair back, lock the fuck in mode though.
I will levy one more critique. Where the fuck is Memolin? What's she doing? What do you
No, she's
died
off
in-
being an
every other
Bangerly-
support.
He's
Ev-
off being a stan.
but every
Yeah,
other
she's-
character who we've interacted with in this story is consistently around to like have input or show that like them being here is a meaningful change. And Memolin's
Sean, we already did the Memolin shit. We're over it now. You got to keep up with the times.
but we still follow Destiny and we still keep
yeah, but Destiny's
that
funny.
was so-
We haven't really had, aside from like,
That was
We've had Destiny's Orphanage that we've been following, which was a road to get to justice, which then was a road to get back to Luke falling in love.
but like here's my argument. Like Justice is
Memolin doesn't love anything besides her Oshi, so we don't need her anymore.
but everybody else's existence in this
Together.
story being different from the base is like important. Like it contributes something to this narrative, except for Memolin. It's very like
Yeah.
as someone who's a big fantasy and a big character guy, that's disappointing. Like you have
they might also talk about it soon. Like that might be the next episode, honestly, because I wouldn't put it past the show to do that shit.
I am doubtful because I feel like we are in the ramp up for this show, and I feel like if it was going to pull something with that, it would have done it by now. That's just kind of how I feel about it.
Her thing to be like, and this is where her change comes in.
Just kidding. Back to the void.
Like there is an argument that her just existing is going to be a big enough change. My point is that that would be a little disappointing considering how much we've gotten out of. Like that is kind of Unio's thing, is that him
and
being here
Justice's
is
thing
actually
also being here. None of them should be here at this point, except for
Well-
Luke and what's her name?
Destiny.
Destiny. Thank you.
I mean,
Yeah.
Justice is alive in the main thing, but Justice at this point would still be
She's
just
irrelevant.
down vibing in the slums.
She might have died in the first raid for all we know. Who knows? We don't know the actual full story. I mean, that she would probably mention, but you get what I'm saying. Where it's like everything is already changed, so now it's a matter of figuring out like how do you rectify the bad end, basically.
It is kind of interesting. I didn't even like think about
As the
that.
world
Mamela
adapts
actually
to
hasn't
her.
been in like 3 episodes in a row. She's just like not even here. And the last episode didn't have any of the characters essentially, but
They killed her off.
Mimidin.
yeah, she actually died off
She's
screen.
actually just dead, guys. I just forgot to tell you. Whoopsies.
Yeah, I kind of view this episode as like, it's a continuation of the last episode, right?
Yeah.
And first of all, like if I think about, the first, last episode and this episode, as a whole, I think that like the whole like, bird woman just being smack dab in the middle is still very jarring. I think it does. I think it very much takes away from the whole, love issue by just slotting that right in the middle of the tooth of, before you're talking about how Natsuko doesn't know how to love for literally 20 minutes, and then here's Natsuko trying to figure out what to do when the main character loves her for another 20 minutes, and then you just slot 8 minutes of like bird talk in the middle. I personally didn't think that it flowed at all. Going through that transition. I also think that I would have liked to hear like Natsuko monologue or at least like talk through the process of like experiencing Luke's confession rather than just like dodging the us experiencing her dodging the point, because it makes first like abrupt um a little bit out of like, not out of place, but like feel really really soon and rushed as a result.
I want to posit that perhaps, because you said it and now I kind of feel it. Maybe the show's just better if the director isn't present here.
I think so.
Because I feel like it's kind of going, here's the point. Like, the tale of perishing is meant to be sad. Why are you messing? Like, I feel like you can get across everything the director is meant to tell you with the concept of the show itself, right? Like, you can piece together, and I feel like Natsuko is smart enough to piece together. She kind of does it on her own anyway, of going, this isn't supposed to be this happy. Like, she is getting the point, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it does kind of feel like she's a forced point here. That maybe the only thing she does bring is the idea is to tell you Natsuko's not dead, right? I do think that when you said it, it does feel a little out there.
But I feel like we could have had like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon esque like fade away into the sun, back to your own world kind of stuff at the end of the manga that, or at the end of the show, that could have been just as impactful and like kind of moment, Then like in your face, like, you're not dead, crazy, whoa, you're not a bird, moment.
We'll see what it does, because it might still do more with it. Like that is
Mhm.
Bird Director is still an open area here. Yeah. Michael, do you want to anything you want to talk more about for ZENSHU?
Not really. I just enjoyed all the stuff we get with them. I
I do think the show's really good.
Justice appears on screen, and I was like, oh, this he's gonna be fucking great.
Let's
Because Justice
go.
is speaking.
Serotonin time.
I do think this show's very good. I think a lot of what this week is this week is me trying to give certain shows a little bit more leeway and a little bit more hope that they have some room to compete for the rest of the season. So like I'm letting myself be a little more down on Crush on Work and ZENSHU because I want to be like, Flower and Asura is doing really well. I really like the direction Sakamoto Days is going. This feels like we're actually ramping up to a very competitive, like,
Finish.
yeah, top selection of things. And then we have another show that kind of it's in there. We'll talk about it. We have
It'll
that, and then
definitely be there next week.
we have two of those shows, or one of them is that, and the other one is, oh, you will definitely be here next week, and we'll get there soon. Not yet though. First we do have to talk about Sakamoto Days. I should be fine, but just in case, let me bring up the character names.
We got Shin Sakamoto, Heisuke, the Doctor.
Yeah, so first we open with baby girl Sakamoto. As she is sad and depressed in the store because everybody is gone, and she wanted to talk about her parent teacher conference. To which Heisuke shows up and goes, "Yo, why is there a sad girl here? What do you mean your family's not here? Get on my shoulders, we're gonna go find them." And I'm like, what the fuck is Heisuke doing here? I'm crazy.
Like, oh, what do you
He's
mean,
back.
what's he doing?
But he's back so quick. I'm like, wow, we spent no time re-roping him back into this. And then we I think we dive into the jail cell first with Lou and the head researcher here at the facility. And Lou's like, why did you trap me in this jail cell? And he goes, I want you to think this through just a little more. Just a little more brain power here, girl who I don't know. Why would I have kidnapped you and locked you in a cell with me? And then and then Lou's like, well, we gotta get out of here, because we gotta help Shin. And he goes, you know Shin? Let me tell you about Shin. Shin was a kid who got dropped off at my lab, and I said, sure, I'll watch him, I guess. And then Shin wouldn't leave me the fuck alone when I was researching genetically enhancing the human body. And then Shin drank my research like an idiot and developed psychic powers. And everybody hated Shin because he started reading their minds and calling out all their bullshit, and that made people uncomfortable. And while I was trying to cure him of this because I felt bad, Shin was like, no, this is cool though, I like it. You don't get to make the decision, and then ran away and nobody tried to find him, which I think is the craziest thing about this backstory. Is Shin's like, fuck it, I'm out of
Nice.
here, and they're all like, cool, the kid's gone.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
I like a lot of what we get here. We'll maybe unpack a little more in discussion. We'll see. And then we cut back over to Sakamoto and Shin fighting Strange Man with needles, who manages to get a needle stab off on Sakamoto and causes him to now hit the opposite of what he's intending to hit. So anytime he tries to go hit him, he hits Shin. So instead, Sakamoto goes, okay, I'll just try to hit Shin, and fucking decks the guy through 2 walls. And Shin goes, why were you punching him that hard if you were aiming at me? I don't like this. And they play around some more with the fact that he can kind of turn this on and off, and it kind of screws Sakamoto over a little bit. And they manage to do the workaround where Shin turns his back to him, to the enemy, and Sakamoto just telepathically relays what he's gonna do, and then punches the shit out of the enemy because Shin can dodge all the attacks and the guy can't. And they manage to take him down. And thus everybody's like, Shin, it's good to see you. We're so sorry. Thank you for saving us. We're glad you're okay. You should go get the head researcher. Lou and the head researcher break out of jail and kick the shit out of a guard. At which point they're like, we gotta go meet up with everybody. We gotta go find them. And then Sakamoto and Shin are walking out a hallway, and they trigger a trap, and Sakamoto falls to the floor. Meanwhile, we meet 2 new characters, Shishiba and Osaragi. Osaragi rules. I adore her. Shishiba's interesting. We'll see a little more about him. Our introduction to them is that they are sitting on a pile of corpses as Weird Deer Man has walked down and goes, those are my men. You 2 are not welcomed here. The Order? They're the Order? Am I right? Did I remember it?
Yes. The Order.
They're like, you're a part
They
of
won the order.
They're like, you're a part of the Order. Why are you here? And they go, well, you're a problem, and we're looking for Slur. And he goes, I don't know who that is. And they go, we don't believe you. And then he goes, here are my 2 guys. Fight my 2 goons. They will kill you. I do not want to deal with you. To which Shishiba's like, yeah, just give it a minute. I'll handle it. And then Osaragi goes, no, they're dead. And just fucking chainsaw blades them in half. And he goes, now I'm bloody. And she goes, you were already bloody. He goes, fair point. And then Sakamoto falls out of the ceiling on top of Deerhead Man. To which we have the most unexpected, completely normal reaction between them. Where Sakamoto's like, oh, hey, how you doing, Shishiba? And he's
How you
like,
guys doing?
he's like, good to see you. This is Osaragi. She's new. And she goes, you're a teddy bear. She doesn't say that out loud to him, but she might as well. And then Shishiba's like, yeah, we could just probably leave this to Sakamoto after Deer Guy shows off that his entire body is made of guns and knives.
This is just Von Stroheim from JoJo's.
Yeah. At which point they're like, yeah, we're gonna go find Slur. We'll be back. There's a really good line out of context here that is Shishiba looking at Sakamoto going, are you also here for Slur? I can't handle any time they talk about this villain. It makes me lose my goddamn mind. But as they're walking away, Osaragi's like, are you sure the teddy bear is going to be okay? I am worried about him. And Shishiba's like, I can't imagine anybody ever killing Sakamoto. I just want to make that very clear.
Mm-hmm.
And then Yeah, Mason?
I was just going to say, it took me until now to realize who Shishiba reminded me of. He just seems like a younger Kishibe.
Yeah.
Chainsaw Man.
Yeah. He does kind of have the vibe. And then we cut back to Shin, who is fighting Seba, the Invisible Man. And Shin goes, and Seba goes, damn, I hate the fact that I can't kill you because you know my attacks are coming. And Shin goes, and I hate the fact that I can read your intent and have an idea where you are, but not exactly what you're gonna do. And they're kind of at a stalemate. And then Shin lets himself get stabbed so that blood gets all over Seba. And Seba goes, now I'm bloody. After having a couple of lines that I'm not sure because of release date. Did Nanami just rip off Seba as a character concept? This is crazy.
Right.
I'm not sure which of these would have come first. Maybe JJK, actually.
I think JJK.
I think JJK would have been here first, because it was longer when it ended. So it probably started sooner. Crazy either way that they have the same overtime and work themed dialogue. But now that Seb is covered in blood, Hisuke just fucking shoots him dead. Probably not. But he certainly does just take a couple of shots into Seba. And that's where the episode ends. Only critique I think this episode rules. Only critique I will slightly levy towards it is I do kind of wish that they gave any inkling that Shin had picked up that Heisuke was there. I didn't notice it if it did. Maybe I wasn't paying close attention. I would have liked you actively see he's tuned into someone else's there because he could read minds.
Like a little shing.
Yeah, I do
Hey,
get
you
that.
get a
Like,
little
They do all the
shing,
time.
do you?
but
You do?
it's not, you do get a little one, but it's not obvious that it's not just him like getting a thought about like, oh, thinking from the guy.
Yeah.
It's a very quick it's like shing blood shot. Like it is
Yeah.
within like a 12-second
really
thing that
fast.
entire scene happened. It is really like it is there. It is neat because it's a thing of once Heisuke is there, you're like, oh, that's what it was. Like
Yeah.
you make that connection that's what that ping was. Or
So I feel like so much happens between the start of the episode where Heisuke goes looking for them, and then like him
Yeah.
showing up at the very end. That
They
you're
do.
like,
They do
"Oh,
a good
right,
job.
he
They do a
was
good job
going."
with it.
It is interesting. How the fuck does Heisuke figure out he's here? I mean, we'll probably learn about that next episode. But what
He's an assassin.
I
He
mean,
can do
Heisuke's
assassin stuff
kind of
too.
an
How
yeah,
hard
he
is it?
walked into Sakamoto's and said, "Hey, is this where Sakamoto's?" And they said no, and then he left.
But how
Yeah,
hard
when
is
he
it?
walked in here and said, "Hey, is this the place where they experiment on people?" And they went, "Yes." And so he went,
Well,
"Oh, cool, I'm in the right
They,
spot."
they wouldn't have done that, but he would have walked into the room that had a completely tattered and beat up dinosaur carcass and went, "Oh, I think I'm on the right track, maybe."
Yeah, true.
Also, the real answer here is Pisuke.
Yeah.
Peacekeep.
You just had Pisuke find him.
So
Pisuke is the go.
Peacekeep.
I think this episode rules. I think it's a really
Big
huge. I think it's
D-skate.
a really good amp up from where we were, and I think it kind of nails everything it's trying to do. What are your
Yeah, I
guys'
see what it put.
thoughts?
Show good.
those episodes fucking great.
I love it. I
This
love
is
all the
exactly what I
action.
wanted out of last episode because we finally like actually get the Shin backstory, which I know last episode was kind of building. Like we had to get here so we could get into that, but like yeah, Shin backstory is great. I love
We get
all
the
of that.
backstory. We get the fights. We get like
Yeah.
good character dynamics. Like
The
You-
fights are a little silly between them and the Doctor, but that is kind of the nature of Sakamoto Days fights.
yeah,
So the
the
only way you're
show
kind of
has them
getting
for
around
it.
Sakamoto being Sakamoto, you have to do some bullshit.
Yeah.
Like whatever the fuck this was. Where he's trying to punch Shin and Shin is dodging, so they are hitting the Doctor. It is such a
Uppercut.
whack fucking scene.
I love though, like throughout the entire scene though, he's like shouting out his own moves, like he did in the previous fight,
Yeah.
where he's guiding him to punch certain ways because it's like, yeah, he's got to not hit Shin, so he's just like,
Yeah.
and you have Shin too go, no, 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 and then he just starts swinging. He's like, shit, fuck, eh.
Yeah.
It's great, but
There is something that dawned on me this episode. That has like
Don?
yes, that has retroactively made things a little better in my head about this show. Which is, and I think it's just because the way Lou interacts with the head researcher reminds me and makes me go, oh yeah. Lou is like 18. She's literally just become an adult. She's essentially a child, which I think, while does not absolve her of all her blame of how the show uses her, and the manga I imagine uses her, it does make it a little more acceptable that she acts like a child. It's fair. Like she does act the way that an 18-year-old would probably act in a lot of these situations, which at least like grounds it a little more for me, where I'm like, yeah, her behaviors make sense.
Wait, I
And
just
you
realized that
have like
that
the
we're
that
just-
checks moment, you know.
Yeah.
I just realized that they're just like straight up having her get drunk at 18 when the legal drinking age in Japan is 20.
Don't worry about it. Well, she does.
They're just like-
No, she's not drinking alcohol. It's just her family's secret remedy.
Yeah, they do kind of imply that it's
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
workaround.
It's her courage recipe, Austin. Come
Yeah.
on, don't pick a
Totally.
weak one.
Like the episode where she starts drinking, it's implied that like she's doing it because it's a special occasion, and then she just becomes an alcoholic at the age of 18.
You know.
Austin, shut up.
And if you want to be technical, I think China's drinking age is 18.
I think they actually say that in the show too.
So for
actually,
her,
at some
for
point.
her
It goes forward.
family, it would be legal.
That's 18. It is indeed 18 in
But
China.
yeah, but that is not where they are. I'm very excited to get more of the Order members because I think they're cool. I do like that even that Sakamoto's also like Shin, by the way. Shin's like, how many of me would it take to be a member of the Order? He goes, you don't want to know the answer to that question. Bad. The answer's not enough.
If there were 10
I
of
think he
you,
said for 10 of
it would
you-
take 6 seconds.
Yep. He's like, not even a second a person?
And then we see exactly what they mean
Yeah.
by it would take 6 seconds, when she takes out 2 other people in actually a frame.
Yes.
Nothing personal, kid.
Her voice is really good in the dub. I really,
Yes.
I mean, they all are
Teddy
here at
bear.
this point.
The show's just very fun. Like, it's just a good time. The little bit of like, oh hey, good to see you again, just fucking insane.
Oh, say hi to everybody for me as they're leaving. He's like, I got a thing to take care of. You got this, Sakamoto? He's like, yeah, say hi to everybody.
I do
Hopefully
like the
you're
fact
well.
that they are also still the people who put the hit out on it, but he's like, hey, it's not the problem right now. We'll worry about it
Yeah.
later.
I mean, it's not them that put the hit on him, it's their bosses that put the hit
Yeah.
on him. So it's not like the assassins, and besides these assassins, the Order itself is not actively trying to kill him. It's actually the other group that's killing people from the Order, is what we found out too, right?
Yeah.
That's like partially responsible for it. So it's like, it's not even the Order. The Order's like, whatever, he's not worth the bodies, basically, at this point.
He's like, at this
Um,
point, Slur is a much bigger problem.
It's a
As
slower
it
person.
as it
I can't
always
believe
as
it.
it always is.
Yup.
I hate that.
I still can't believe that the like big villain for this segment of the story is named Slur.
I don't
If
know.
he's if he ever gets dealt with, maybe he's
That's
the,
okay,
the
the
long
big-
running villain.
Listen, one of the big long running villains in My Hero was named Stain, so
Yeah.
Significantly cooler
Yeah.
villain name than Slur, if you ask me.
is it?
And also he didn't name himself Stan, I think. I don't think this guy named himself Slur.
Hey, you don't know. We
Hey,
might find out
maybe-
some crazy things.
Back when he was a teenager, he said some not good things on the internet.
This man spent just a little too long in COD lobbies.
I hope we meet
Didn't
this.
we all?
I hope one day we meet this character and his entire dialogue is just bleeped.
Yeah,
That would be absolutely incredible.
sounds like Morse
Sounds like
code.
Morse code.
Yeah.
Mason, right here, man.
Wow. I think that wraps some conversation for Sakamoto. So, I mean, Michael, it's time to talk about Medalist.
Give me 1 second. I have to type out a bit here. I guess I could say it, but I didn't want to interrupt what was happening.
Oh, that's fine. Just type it out. You're already committed.
I don't know if any of you guys are gonna get exactly what this bit's in reference to. But anyway,
I feel like I know what it is, and I don't know why.
that is our the Drink the Cup official video
Oh, god damn it.
when we
Oh,
was a
they
kid.
call me the drink.
John,
They
John,
called him the juice box.
I dragged your fiance's server into this shit.
Yes.
You did.
You were still labeled as not even the cup in that server.
Not even the cup.
So, Michael,
Anyway,
Medalist.
Call me the drink.
Medalist. Peak.
Part 1 of 2.
Yeah.
It's very
So,
obvious
I'm
it's a part
so
1 of 2.
mad about it.
This is, can we all agree this is the most frustrating episode to not be able to immediately go watch the next episode of? Maybe of all
That
time.
is the only reason why I have it at 3. It's just like I want to watch. The next
That's the reason
episode.
that's
I
the
know
reason
this
it's
is about
1,
to-
is because it makes me want to watch the next episode so goddamn
Fucking
much.
so mad.
Yeah, that was the first. I think the first time I put Medalist above ZENSHU for this, and it deserves it this week by a lot.
Yeah. So. We start where we ended last episode. I think I didn't even mention this last week.
Yeah,
just
I
haven't.
watched it and went,
yeah.
we totally forgot about this.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's early in the dressing room, kind of where they kind of store all the bags. And she's got Inori is currently having a panic attack because she
Like
realized
you do.
she does not have her skates with her. They are in her suitcase, which she does not have with her suitcase,
Yeah.
which she does not have with her at the moment. Then she has to think back through the day. She goes, I didn't even bring it into this room. It's not like someone took it. And then she thinks back a little bit farther, and you see that she's on the train, crowded train in Japan. And then some nice old lady goes, hey, I can put that above you if you want, so you don't need to like hold it next to you. She goes, oh sure, and then forgets about it. And then she goes to her mom and Tsukasa about this, and they go, oh no, that's a problem. And Tsukasa goes, okay, I'm gonna go call the train company. You go start warming up. Try not to have a meltdown. And then he goes, okay, they have it. Someone handed it the lost and found at this place. It's about 10 stops away. And Nori's mom goes, okay, I'll call you a cab. And he goes, nah, I'll run. I could do that.
That'll take too long. I'll run.
Yeah, which is really funny because like, but she's like, no, it's like a mile away. Which in the dub, it's a mile. I don't know how long it technically would have been.
I don't remember.
That had been a lot more than a mile because he had like 2 hours to get there and get
he
back.
had 2 hours. I'm like, I could walk that distance in 2 hours.
And that's not bad. That's a mile's not bad, especially for an athlete. Like,
because he's athletic.
He
I
could probably
walk
pull
that
off like
distance.
an 8-minute mile at the worst.
Certified haiku moment.
Yeah, he goes. He gets this big run to go get the bag. And he's like, thank you, got the bag. Runs, gets on the train at this train stop to get back. Makes sense. Barely gets on. He gets on as the train doors are closing behind him. He finally gets back to gets back. As this is happening, Inori's she kind of did some like sprints back and forth to get herself warmed up. She goes, I want to go warm up some more. She goes out to like the parking lot, like the side of the building, and she's kind of like dry land practicing her routine. Tries to do a jump, realizes that can't fucking do that while on dry land. That's ridiculous. But she tries anyway. And she's kind of practicing through her routine. Tsukasa gets there. He's absolutely drenched in sweat. This man was sprinting. He's crazy. Then they finally get in. They get in. Annabelle right in the nick of time, right as her name's being called for attendance essentially. Like, yeah, this is your group 3 or whatever, group 2 of this level. Gotta get all like 7 of you like accounted for. Then they can do their little like on the ice little warm up thing, like ice practice, because kind of hard to like get that beforehand. So they do that. As this is happening, at some point during this, Tsukasa has a little talk with they talk with Emma's coach at one point during this.
The best character.
It's before everybody starts performing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they like have like a small chat with him, but yeah. He gets there and they're like, Tsukasa, what the fuck has happened to you? And he goes, oh, don't worry about it. As he is dripping with sweat.
He like slaps him on the back and goes, why are you wet?
That makes sense. Yuck.
You could look.
Then I assume Tsukasa changes his shirt.
Yeah.
As I sure hope the show doesn't just forget that.
No, it just immediately cuts to him standing next to him with a clean shirt.
And a completely shirt. I'm like, okay, I sure hope he
but...
changes. No, he just changes off screen. It's fine.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So Inori's doing her thing. She's doing her practicing. It's all going good. And then the performances start. First performance is the girl we have not met yet. Well, so earlier in the episode, we see Seta, the gremlin from last episode, who walked in and was like, "Anyway, you're getting second place, bitch. I'm getting first." Or kiddo, more like that. But yeah, and she's really good. She's like naturally super athletic. Does some crazy jumps. Does some crazy shit. Gets a 23.37, which is important because every score from this point onward will be within about 0.3 of this score. It is ridiculous what these scoring numbers are. And so Seta's in like group 1, and Seta is currently leading going into group 2 stuff. So group 2 starts. We have the small child, which we have not met before, and we learn her thing is, she's just really fucking strong. She goes to do a toe loop, which I think is specifically a jump where you like push off of your like toe. And the Tsukasa and Inori both make a comment. They're like, normally you make like a little hole in the ice. She put a fucking crater in the ground when she did that. Chekhov's crater, as one could say.
That's why it's actually better to go like in the middle during those competitions, not the beginning or the last, because the ice gets fucked up.
And yet the show's good, so we immediately deal with this.
Yeah. Yeah, so then next person to go up is the person who in last episode was like, Seta, you're being annoying. Stop making our club look bad. And we learned there's kind of a backstory between the two of them where she had started I
There's
don't remember
one
her
in
name.
between this.
Oh, is there another
Yeah,
between them?
it's the black-haired girl because she's the one who gets caught in the crater. And her whole thing is that
Oh yeah.
her whole thing is that she's showing this is how you properly adapt to something going wrong in
Yeah,
your
I
routine
forgot.
is
Yeah.
that you can figure out where you need to put in the maneuvers and think through it and do it. And so that's her kind of she gets caught in the crater and then she still scores really well. I think she still scores
Yeah.
below.
Yeah.
Everyone scores below the first one.
Yeah.
No one has broken past first.
Yeah.
Yet.
And then we go into the other one that you were talking about.
Yeah. There we go. She bumps in. Then we see like a bit where she's like, "Okay, I need to do this. I can't do that specific thing I was gonna do because that's already ruled out. So I have to then combine these other things. It's a really neat like fucking menu shit in her head. You see.
Flowchart.
Yeah. And the next girl goes up. It's Seta's friend. And she goes, "I think Seta's annoying. Seta's like really athletic, really good. We learned they used to be speed skaters. Which we get a little bit of a glimpse at earlier." Where right before this, we're filming this, and the crowd's like, "Wait, that last name is that like that famous speed skater?" And they go, "I don't know."
No,
Also,
bro, figure skating competition.
Inori's mom
What's
is
that?
currently sitting with the person who runs the ice rink by their house. He's just chill.
He came all the way out here for a girl.
Yeah, and then Inori's mom's like, "Oh my god, that's so
Likability
awesome."
meter.
But yeah, so she goes on, and we get a little bit of backstory. It's like, she's like, "Yeah, I may not be as good at jumps as Seta is, but like, I've been doing this more because she had shifted from speed skating to figure skating before that point." She's like, and figure skating isn't just about the jumps and stuff. Her whole idea of her performance is, if you're really good at dancing and like the actual just general performance, you could still score big because that's still a major part of it. It's not just doing fancy tricks. So she has a very nice like dance section, and she scores like a 23-3-4 or something. She's like, I think it was her. I think
she's
right
like
after this is Inori.
she's like
Everyone
point-
kind of went like
yeah.
second.
She's like
second.
she's like 0.03 away.
I do remember. Yeah, it was exactly 300 something. I do remember. I just wasn't sure. Remember if there was like another person
No.
after her somehow. But yeah,
We got right into Inori.
yeah. And then Inori goes on the ice. She fucking flops onto the ground. Because Tsukatsu's like, okay, gotta focus up. Just do your stuff. Pay attention. Focus on your push offs and all day. Just remember your fundamentals, and you'll fucking go crazy, go stupid. And she goes bet, and she goes to push off, and she fucking flies away like a Mach 3, and she falls over. She's like, "What the hell was that?" I wasn't ready to move that fast. As her as she has tied Tsukatsu's hoodie thing into a bow. He goes,
little
"What the
bow.
huh?" He goes,
That's
"What
so
did you do?"
cute.
Oh, look at that. It's the same thing she does to her shoes. But yeah, she gets back because she still hasn't technically started.
Yeah.
It doesn't start until you've actually like centered yourself. She gets in the middle. Episode cuts.
So here's the question: is this? Do you think this is a good or a bad sign? Her trip. Because
I mean,
I
it's better than
it's a
doing
good
it in
sign.
performance.
I
score-wise.
take it as a like she's in the zone kind of thing, where like she is
Yeah.
moving faster and it's going to help her really nail things. And if she does improvise, she'll be able to do things she couldn't before.
Well, she also realized that, like, hey, all these things my coach has been drilling into me make sense now because, oh, wow, if I fix my posture and focus a little bit more on
Yeah.
this, I actually do, like, get that more speed and more lift that I need to, like, do better at certain things. It's a good and a bad thing because it's going to throw off her usual, like, routine
Yeah.
and, like, her usual, like, sensibilities of it. But also it makes sense because it's like, oh, yeah, this is how it works. So I actually like the episode. I just hate the fucking cock tease. That is like it did this earlier too, before her like first performance and before her before like after her performance before its performance.
Yeah.
So it's like this is like last like
Hikaru.
debate that it throws on you, but
Gary. I mean, I think
Hikaru,
it.
yeah.
I think the fact is though, it's a part 1 of an episode, and like I knew that going
Yeah.
into it, so like I know like you're gonna have a split. I am actually really surprised we didn't get Emma. I thought
Yeah.
we were gonna have her this
Yeah.
episode, and I guess she's going after.
We also learned about Emma's tragic past
Yes,
too.
and I was
Yeah.
gonna say I also think I would be a betting
I think it
man.
was bad advice from the coach.
In what way?
And that like it's like he's saying like, hey, what you're doing is fine, but don't push it. But I feel like it could push him too far the other way, right? Or he becomes too defensive of Inori, right? At the same way where it's like she's constantly moving so fast that like it's like, hey, let's rein it in a bit, becomes too much reining in, right? To a degree as well.
I think to me the advice came off more as you have to be cautious at the
Of their own
speed
growth, yeah.
of things, because the difference here though is that Inori's older, right?
No, for sure. So she's already had like her some of her
But
growth spurts and stuff,
this
and-
is the odd thing. To me, I would be a betting man that at some point this is gonna come back for
of
Inori
course.
too, because I feel like you don't go. This character has been had issues with like growth spurts and problems, and not eventually set that up for your main character in some capacity in
Mhm.
something like figure skating. Especially because Inori has such rapid growth and success. I do really like the other side of this conversation though, which is him going, you have to be aware that these kids pick up on things about how you feel
Mhm.
and what you want. Like, they're not dumb.
That I thought was good. And it's like,
Yes.
hey, I think she fed off of my anxiety and that of her falling behind, and that caused her to force herself to push too hard.
And only made it
I think that
worse.
was good too.
Yeah.
But I just think like it's a little bit of like, hey, this is what you should do. When like I think inherently like he does care about her health and her well-being and her like progress and stuff without being too hard right now, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean we'll see. But on that, like episode's great. I want to see the performance. That's what it comes down to.
Mhm.
Fuck you, show.
I structurally think this episode's an incredible. It is structurally so good in terms of these sets of performances because of what it's showing you about how these performances are rated on the ice. Because like, we got the bit. Sorry, I need to.
Yeah,
I
we're
fuck
like
up
we're
her
like the
name.
mom sitting with the guy, and he literally goes, "Hey, we've seen like 4 vastly different types of performances. We've seen someone who's
Yes.
very technically good and able to do harder things. We've seen someone who's like very sound as like a recovery, and like I made a mistake, but I adjusted my own performance to recover and get points back in other ways, and
Yeah.
complete the tricks I need to complete for this. You've seen someone who's very performance sound, but lacks a little bit in the skill department, right? And it's a little bit behind in terms of overall talent, but it's not just about your skating, it's also about your performance in your skating and things like that. So it's like you've
And-
seen like different styles of dancers, and the mom kind of going like, well, where's Inori in all this?
Yeah.
You know?
What I also
'Cause she's-
really like though.
And the prodigy talk too was cool.
Yes, what I really like is what you get if you think back to Hikaru's performance, which is these contestants are scoring 23s. What is the difference that gets you to Hikaru's level? And the answer is you do all of this. You are good enough that everything you do, that you have the power, you have the technique, you have the performance, the choreography's clean.
And
like
you have the
it's
difficulty behind it all.
yeah, you put all of that together and you get a score like hers. And then if you think about it, it almost like retroactively, or I guess that's not the right way. The opposite. It almost like afterwards explains. Yeah, proactively. No, it would be retro, right?
It would be retroactive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You had it right. You had
Yeah,
it
it
right.
retroactively explains why Hikaru's performance feels so incredible when you watched it. Is because it quite literally is so high caliber in what she is doing that you don't understand it yet, and now you're starting to understand the pieces. And I think that's an element of this episode that's really incredible.
My thing with this performance here is I both think Inori's gonna do well, and I don't think either outcome. I think you could run off of either one. I think this is the place you have Inori lose because we're setting it up as she needs to be fucking perfect on the ice. Obviously, you could still have that. We have this she's in the zone right now. She could do it, but Tsukasa's she needs to nail everything, and she'll hit like a 24, and
It's
like
more of,
that'll
like,
be that's the perfect outcome here. And I think you can have like a loss because it's not like losing stunts anything. She's still going. It gets like she gets third place here. That's still third place, and she can still do the level 2 badge test. As I think it's important that the show has her lose at some point.
Yeah, I think
I
she will.
think it's crazy when sports just have the characters just win over it.
I think she'll lose a lot. I would not be surprised if she.
Yeah, this is also a fucking long running manga, like a decently
Mhm.
long running manga. So
I also think that like when you introduce so many competitors at this level, it makes sense to have them lose because you have competition here that like
and it's so close between all of them to begin
yes.
with.
And then you just have Inori, whose stocks are just shooting up. Like,
She's literally just smurfing because she's older.
stonks.
Part of it is like she is older, so she can do things that these other girls can as well, right? So it's a difficult like balancing in it, where it's like, she does have a physical advantage of being just an older kid, right? It's like if you had like a 10-year-old playing t-ball with the 7-year-olds, it's a little bit different. And the grading is still the same regardless of what age you are, like, right? So
Yeah.
there's no leeway either way. So it's very interesting to see how it's gonna pan out. And when that creates a drama where it's someone saying, well, of course you won, you're older, right? Kind of thing, where it's like it would put her in her head that like
I
she
think-
is getting to where she needs to go, but still not fast enough. But it's also
Yeah.
like she's still behind where she needs to be, right?
I think it's a little
Um,
tricky because I think the show's kind of implied that it's actually more of a curse to be older in this sport. Like even if you have like a physical advantage, the amount of experience you need to apply to that matters immensely in this sport. It's a lot.
Oh, of course.
I think it's a little trickier than just like the t-ball comparison in that regard.
No. It is, and
Yeah.
I was implying just for like the analogy,
Yeah.
but like it's very interesting that it's like we're gonna get to the point where this is like an interesting dichotomy where it's like she's ahead of like people she's at the same skill level with, but she's behind to where she needs to be, and it's just like this constant battling back and forth, right? So I'm excited to see how it kind of pans out with Inori. I'm fine with her winning or losing.
Yeah, I agree.
It just depends on how she wins
Yeah.
or how she loses, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you go either way. I just think this is definitely a place where you could have.
It feels like a
loss
good
happen.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say it's hard for me to give like a real opinion about the whole leaving the skates behind thing because it's so Haikyuu to me, and I have such a, and what Haikyuu chooses to do for that scene, that would be a parallel of this is so fucking good. It's one of my favorite parts of the show.
like,
So,
like on the one hand, like if she overcomes like the fact that she doesn't get like any runs, any like on skate runs, and like knocks it out of the park, that's high. But on the flip side, if like she fails because of it, or it trips her up, and then we get
Spirals.
like some growth, that also rules.
yeah, because the idea here is like if she fails here, she can just perfect the double jumps, and that
Just get good, kid.
that puts her like at this level, if not higher, without needing to run a perfect routine the next time, right? Because everybody here who's scoring this high can do it with the jumps. That was her point. She was like, should I just do the jumps? And he's like, no, you don't need to. Don't worry about it. But if she fails here, she could learn the jumps and then fucking crush this, essentially.
Mhm.
And with that, the podcast is not yet over. We have one more show to talk about.
What? No, I think that's it.
Mason.
So, Tasokare Hotel this week.
Another two-parter, maybe. Who knows?
So, this episode starts with Neko at her favorite idol group's performance. The idol group being 365Q.
Yeah. So it's like 365 something, or
Yeah.
the shortened version,
Sun
Sun Q.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cut to her ranting about it to the manager, and the manager being someone actually invested in this conversation somehow. Like, he's very clearly done with it, but he's still picked up on it. And who walks in but one of the original members of the group, Kaneko Konomi is her name.
Or they use the nickname Kaneko no.
Yeah. And she doesn't have a changed head. She in fact signs her name on the guest list or the guest book, which they explain that since her entire persona and being is based off of her face and voice and identity, she has a pretty strong sense of that. So
I have thoughts
she
about
doesn't
this.
forget. Yeah. We get a quick scene of her like eating in the cafeteria, getting approached by one of the residents that is like a big fan of hers, and like having a conversation with her, and then another resident that is kind of a dick, demanding an autograph from her. Her saying, "No, I don't know you, and I'm not obligated to," and him ranting about how all celebrities and rich people are just so like above everyone else. And then they turn the radio on at her request, and it's her idol mates saying that they're going to continue their tour, and but they're going to do it in memoriam of her. And one of the members starts crying on air, to which Kanekano basically says, "Man, those are some crocodile deers. They fucking hated my ass. They're probably so happy I'm dead. Oh well, I'm glad that the concert's going back on. It's what I would have done. Bye." And then she leaves. They end up, Neko and Antori go to her room to check on her and find her collapsed next to the toilet, where she has been throwing up after eating a lot. And turns out she has a eating disorder and is also addicted to sleeping pills. Which I will note, throughout this episode, we get like a crunching sound effect every so often, which I realized was just someone breaking open a thing of pills, which I thought was a really neat touch, I will say. Does not take away from the issues this episode has, but it was a neat little bit. After a little short conversation about it, Neko goes and runs into the asshole guest of him. He basically loses it on her, saying that like she gives special treatment to Kanekano, and she's like, "Well, dude, if you had told me what you wanted, I would bring it to your room." And he goes, "Oh no, she's still getting special treatment," and like huffs off. She runs into Kanekano again on the roof, where she's humming a song that is very out of tune. And basically, they come up with the idea of, okay, well, let's have you put on a mini concert to potentially like have unresolved regrets. You know you're dead already, but like, let's get you out of here. So Neko goes and she first talks to the manager, who mentions that he's dabbled in playing drums. And he agrees to join. And then she goes to Asoto and is like, "Hey, you play the piano, right?" And he's like, "How'd you know?" And she goes, "Yeah, I did. Anyways, play me in speed to play the piano for me." He goes, "Fine, but if you don't, if you lose, do anything for me." Or she offers that she'll do anything for him if she loses. She kicks the shit out of him. And then they have a conversation about how if push came to shove, she would probably kill someone. And she goes, "I mean, no, but sure, I guess." And then walks off. And then she goes to Atari because they need a wind instrument. Gee, I wonder what that's going to be. She goes to Atari and she goes, "Hey, we're supposed to help the guests, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Play the saxophone so we can get Kanekano to move on." And he goes, "No." She's like, "But why?" And he goes, "Because I said no. I'm not playing the saxophone anymore." She's like, "But you took that one guy's saxophone. Why would you take it if you weren't going to play?" He's like, "Because it was cool." Anyways, fuck off. Stop talking to me about this. And then
She talks with the cook, and she's like, and the response with Ruri, and Ruri's like, "You should just keep trying to get him to play."
Yeah. Also, someone steals the shift schedule. We don't know who yet
Or why.
or why. I think overall this episode is fine. But we're to the point now where episodes can't really just be fine.
Yeah, it has this like it is like a really solid portrayal of like the idol industry. But my brain was just like, yeah, I've seen Oshinoko. I've read all of it. I know where this is going. It's idol industry bullshit. It's just maybe if we had more time, it's we have 2 episodes this time, but like something about this like I just don't care. I don't know.
No, that's fair.
I think she's just not that. I think it might just be. I just don't think Kaneko is a interesting enough character to be the one we're getting the 2 episode set. I just don't think they've done enough to make me care for her.
I think it makes sense because of the fact that it is tied to Neko, right?
Yeah.
See, if we were at a different point in the season, this would be a dangerous episode because this is the episode by far that the show has the most, because it's 2-part probably. This is the episode where I have the most time to think and conjure bullshit about what the show might be doing with this set of stuff. And so I'm actually kind of engaged with it, but it's too late for that to be the drive event that lets me exist. So like, here's the Mason. Are you okay?
I just saw someone's name and I lost it.
So here's like the problem for me, right? But so what my brain is doing is I see this and I didn't think the crunching sound was the sleeping pills. You probably have the right read. That is probably it. In the back of my mind, I'm like, what's that noise? It's like something's breaking. Is it like something in her? Is it like something in her body that's like breaking? Because she's not actually the person she says she is. Because the first thing I thought of was, why is her face visible? And the show, and we get an explanation. But do I buy it? And here's the argument, right? The reinforcement is, well, she wrote her name too. Well, yeah, Neko says her name dead to her face as soon as she walks in the door. So, like, there is enough benefit of the doubt that they're pulling something here. And so, why then would you play the audio clip of the radio if it isn't her? Well, why is she here if she is flat dead? We've never gotten someone who is so blatantly shown to us to be dead, right? Like, it's not, things don't sit well.
There's no ambiguity with it.
Yeah, everything is too blunt and too blatant and too obvious that I don't buy it. And that is all really interesting and really sitting in my head, and I might watch next week's episode for the sake of it anyway, because I'm dying to know.
Oh, I probably will.
Am I cooking?
I probably will.
Am I
It's not
cooking
that
the?
bad.
Yeah. Am I cooking the holes are lined up in their head?
Yeah,
Maybe.
Truly.
Truly. None of you will truly. At some point, I will have to get one of you to watch It Invaded to understand.
You know it's gonna be me.
It will be, but to
I watched at least
understand.
part of it invaded.
But
I
to
don't remember how much, but I did watch part of it.
But you have to understand the nonsense that is they lined up the holes of their heads. I couldn't even give you the full context of this. I would have to find the clip of me talking about it, which is doable. That is on the channel.
It's somewhere.
And like there is other stuff here that I think is interesting and engaging. I like the Asoto conversation. I think it's really fucking creepy that she's like, you would want to know my address. He's like, already do. Easy,
Yeah.
gotcha. I went in your room. She's like, please stop that. And he's like, look, it makes me trustworthy. If I could always go in your room, I could have killed you now. And she goes, no, it doesn't
That doesn't
actually.
make you more trustworthy.
It doesn't-
Telling me you can do this does not make you a trustworthy guy.
The fact that you've already shown that you won't kill anybody doesn't make me feel any better that you might kill somebody. I also really like the line from Achiri where he's like, hey, have you considered that some people don't want to talk about shit? That you might be stepping on something that's actually, like, traumatic, so stop. I like him being blunt about it. Like, I think this episode has a lot of good stuff in it. It's just too late.
Also, can they learn just at all what sheet music looks like? Holy shit. Half of these lines do not have anything on them.
What are you talking about?
It was also really on the nose where she goes, okay, so we're gonna need some people. So you're gonna need to get drums, piano, and wind instrument. You know, kind of like the saxophone. And I was like, shut the fuck up. It was maybe maybe it's the subtitles I was reading, but it was just I'm like, that's a little ridiculous how blatant it is. It's like, wow, you're given the quest of go talk to people. And then go talk to Atori.
Well, I
Like,
also think
This
we
is-
knew that Osoto played piano. I think that was known to
believe
us.
so.
I think in his introduction.
I want to say he like makes a comment about it when they're playing the piano. The episode like 2 episodes ago with the old man and the kid.
But I think we knew it
Honestly, there's some
before
amount
that
of-
too.
So-
if I'm being
I don't-
honest.
He also his vibes. He plays piano. You could just feel it. That man knows how to play piano.
So, like,
Anyway,
I
sorry.
will say, I think that this episode, the visual novel, is shining through very hard. Like, it is very
Yeah.
visual. Like, I can see the speed mini game being played.
Shit, you right. I didn't even think about that. I was like, what a weird thing to do. And my brain didn't even.
It's
I'm
a-
too.
Oh my.
I'm
it's the
too in my
most
own
visual
head that I
novel
didn't
shit
tune in.
I've ever seen. I'm here for it. I love it. I want to play this game
You got-
really bad.
You got to go on the fetch quest for each of your instrument players.
And then you can get the 3 moons for completing the Metro Kingdom.
Where was it? I got it. That's what this is what that quest or like this section of the episode is in the game. It's just
Oh. Internet, please.
No,
Internet, no.
maybe.
Oh, I think it's a Discord. I think it's Discord,
Yep,
please.
that's
Actually,
it. That's exactly how it. Yep. Fucking love that. Fucking love that gift so much.
it's so good. 'Cause it
Good
is-
luck. Good luck trying to figure out where it loops. If you have not played the game, enjoy.
oh, right there.
like, I talked to someone about. I've talked to multiple people this past week about 999. I'm slowly but surely convincing people to play that game.
Well,
Those games.
I think the math exists where you can find out if you cut door transitions out of the game how much time it saves. It's a lot. It's a lot. You don't understand until you play that game where you're like,
What
holy
about RE?
shit.
So
Was it RE4 that has them too, or one of the Resident Evil?
no, it's Resident Evil, but it's like original Resident Evil.
Okay,
But,
I
like,
don't know, man. I know it's like a really slow.
This is
the real lore is
this is
bad.
this is a and the response they did in ZTD is they just simply never opened doors.
Yes.
Honestly,
that's-
problem solved.
It's like, oh, you're gonna choose to go from this location to that one. You have to watch actually 45 seconds of your character walking there as a dot on a
Yes.
map.
And you have to do it for and there are points where things technically repeat. You are not seeing anything new, but you can't fast forward it because you're technically in a different route, so you have not actually experienced it yet, even though you have seen the exact same animation walking the exact same path 3 times already.
That reminds me how Pokemon added an option in this game that says to skip cutscenes, and it does basically nothing. Like, it literally makes you watch 89.7% of the movies, and you skip like 2 scenes, and that's it.
So now that we're clearly not talking about Tasokare anymore, we have the results in. So we have 1 sleigh on Flower and Asura, Crush at Work, and ZENSHU. We have no sleighs on Sakamoto Days and Medalist. I want you to know I was none of those 1 sleighs, by the way. So despite all the shit I talked this week, the only show I voted was Tasokare. And everybody else has also voted to kill Tasokare this week. Surprise, surprise. What is a surprise is we have 5 spares on Yu-Gi-Oh! This week.
No.
Holy shit.
I'm not better than last week where I only had 4
Yeah, he was.
because he
was a
didn't.
solid dude.
Because someone didn't vote last week.
Don't worry about
It was John.
It
It
was
was
John.
John.
Don't worry about
I
it.
still don't know how he managed to do that.
Mason, what name was it that got you?
It was the hold on. Let me read it off. We're in the hotel.
Okay, it was-
Hotel holiday.
Holiday
We
Inn.
got the hotel motel. Fuck, it's a goddamn Super 8.
Yeah, very good. There's some good ones in here. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that will bring us to an end of this week's episode of the podcast, Tasokare will no longer be here. It has been sent to hell. Where all bad shows go. And some good ones. That's just the way the world works. We will have 5 shows next week, and then we'll have 4 shows the week after, and then we'll be in top 3. Crazy how that works. And then we'll be in the process of figuring out what's going to happen next season,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
we will eventually have to figure out. But
Let's go.
that's neither here nor there. But so thank you for joining us, and have a good night, everybody.